What's up, dude? Can you hear me? Your volume's really low.
Oh my god.
It's a little better. How am I?
Oh, you're clear.
Turned way up. Boy, this lighting sucks.
You'll be all right. Mine's a little overblown, but it always is.
So are we on? Are we live, or are we just the two of us?
We're live. Hasn't
All
officially
right.
hit the stream yet, but it will here in just a second.
Okay. Give me like 1 minute. I'll get my actual light set up. It'll look a lot better.
That's fun.
I've been doing some rearranging.
Yeah, I need to do some of that in my garage. Yeah, it's so funny. I put that up and not thinking anybody'd really be paying attention. And I've had like 6 or 7 people message me like, "Hey, weren't you going live?"
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
I pulled up the stream and there's like a bunch of comments from a couple hours ago. You had a lot of people that wanted to be on the stream.
apparently, I was popular tonight.
Nobody else had a live stream going on that I could tell.
Yeah, like I said, I obviously had that bit of news, kind of get dropped on us. Yeah, HD. I just John hit me up. He's like, the wife's in bed. I got nothing else to do.
All right, let me turn off background.
Just got my hair cut today, so it's still a little frizzy.
Yeah, I did mine last week. Yeah, doesn't look too bad. Let's get this. There. A little bright. Hey, there you go.
Man, you got everything on a remote. I have to actually hit a switch,
$50. It included the remote, and the softbox, and the tripod. It was one of those. I saw it on Think Media 2 years ago, and then I bought one.
Ah, okay.
And if I ever got my act together, I have a pop-up green screen too.
Yeah, this is literally just a curtain on a rod hanging off my ceiling.
I need to put in one of those so that I have something better to look at than all of this crap behind me, Make it look like a decent recording studio for once.
Yeah, if you could actually see around me, it's a complete disaster. Oh.
You ever watch Jay Yadlovsky? You ever watch his videos?
I want to say the name sounds familiar, but I can't say that
he's a Resolve YouTuber, and I've learned a lot of audio and stuff from him. I think he's out of New Jersey, and his basement, he's got like half his basement is a utility room, and then he's got like the big curtains that he hangs, and he just kind of built a framework in the joists and then set it up with like the noise cancellation pads and stuff.
Yeah, I thought about getting one of those like curved like shower curtain type of deals, and then that way it would like more curve and cover more of that. But well, since there is at least a couple of people still, it looks like, still watching the chat, let me give the intro. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Travis Dunn. With me is John from Road Reality. Was planning a live stream, that wasn't planning a live stream. I'll give you a bit of the story. I've told a few of you who have messaged me about it. For anybody who doesn't know, the kid Nash, who rode with me on the Blue Ridge Parkway trip, he was riding the 80s Goldwing, at 17 years old at the time. Taking that kind of trip on a bike he had put maybe 100 miles on. he is my son's best friend, but obviously the love of riding from both of us is why I've ridden all over with him. So him and his girlfriend, apparently his girlfriend Monday night was having seizures. They took her to the hospital, and during that they found out what they didn't know was she was 6.5 months pregnant, and they needed to do an emergency C-section. So on Tuesday, she gave birth to a little baby girl, a little over 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds, I think was what he told us. So far, the baby and the mama are healthy. Obviously, the baby will be spending quite a bit of time in the hospital for the next couple of months, probably. But yeah, he got the "you're a daddy" bombshell without without actually knowing that he was going to be a dad. So kind of crazy.
Congratulations to the new dad.
Yeah, man, it's and the thing is, you know, I don't know if I told you or told somebody else, you know, him and my son have been friends since like the 6th, 7th grade, and you know, I've watched this kid grow up and turn into the young man that he is. But yeah, like I said, it was definitely a bombshell that got dropped. We only just found out today. He literally stopped by. She's obviously out of the hospital, and they both stopped by and, you know, kind of gave us the news and told us what had happened. So yeah, it's kind of a crazy world out today. And the funny thing is that we have 2 of my wife's other nieces are currently pregnant. One with her second, one with her third. And then if Nash's girlfriend had carried to term, she would have been having a baby about the same time the one of the 2 would have is supposed to have her baby. So like I said, it's apparently that time in my life where all the kids are having kids, and I'm telling both of my children, don't.
My kids are little. It's not going to happen for a long time.
Yeah, my daughter, she's 19, and my son is turning 21 here in July, and you know, I'm not ready to be grandpa yet. I'm not there. I'm not quite.
Hell, I'm not ready to be a dad. Are you kidding me? And I've been one for years.
I know, that's exactly how I feel. Like, I haven't quite figured this out yet.
Like, thank God for their moms, right?
Man, it's crazy. And my wife, you know, my house has always been the safe house for a lot of kids. You know what I mean? Even when, you know, they were having problems and they were fighting with their parents, and they would come and stay at our house, and you know, we were kind of the fun parents, even though my kids would probably tell you something different. But you know, we had rules, but we also let our kids be kids. You know what I mean? We also understood.
I want my kids to be adults. Are you kidding me? Grow up, get a job, move out.
Oh, well, one of my kids is learning that the hard way. She's trying to move out, and she's in the process. You know, she's starting she just started a new job a few weeks ago, and it's rough on her right now. She's understanding what it is to make hard choices and to, you know, do things you don't necessarily want to, and but that's adulthood. Once you're there, there's no turning back.
Yeah, all the kids say, "Oh, I want to grow up and be an adult." No, don't do it. It's not worth it. 1 out of 10 would not recommend.
No, absolutely. Be a kid, do kid things, be stupid.
Yeah. I am my wife's 3rd kid, according to her.
Yeah, my wife definitely would put me in that category.
Yeah, because you just bought a new toy, right? You got the 2011 Ultra Classic.
I bought a 2011 Ultra. It's actually considered an Electra Glide Ultra Classic, which is a weird combination because technically those are 2 different models.
Yeah, but Harley was going through a weird phase at that point.
Well, and the thing is, it is a CVO, which I will openly admit I had been the guy that always said, "Fuck a CVO. I will never own one. Never thought I could afford one." But this particular model is kind of a mix between the two. It has a lot of the things that one has, but it also, like the turn signals and stuff are more from the other model than it is the Ultra Classic.
So what's the difference there? Because it's like Harley's always had the buttons on the handlebars, right?
Yeah, I mean, none of that's the change. Like I said, a lot of it's the little cosmetic stuff. Like, it has the fancier tour pack with all the extra lighting, but the like I said, the turn signals and stuff like that are all what you would see like on a street glide. It's not that kind of fat round style that you've seen on.
Gotcha.
So it has more of the lighting, regular lighting that your bike has. I think it is, because that's what you have is like a 2011 street glide, I think.
I have a 2019. Thank you very much.
19. I don't know why I said 2011.
Yes. There's a huge rift between the 2011 and 2019.
There's a huge dollar amount too.
Dude, let me tell you. I mean, I've told this story. I went looking at a used 2016 because I just paid off my Vaquero like 9 months prior and was like, yeah, I'm just not comfortable riding this thing anymore because I had wrecked it. And I was like, let me just go buy a used street glide, you know? And my wife and I looked at it and she goes, I like the blue one in the showroom better. Is that one more expensive? I said, yeah, by about 10 grand. She's like, well, we're here, ride it. And then she ended up buying it for me. So
that's, I will admit I had a different number in my mind. I was like 12 grand was kind of where I wanted to top out at. And I had originally looked at, I went in to look at a 2008 anniversary. So it was orange and black, which anybody knows it wasn't the amber whiskey orange, but it was kind of close. It was a little different.
But it was the 105 anniversary, wasn't it?
It was the 105 anniversary.
Yeah.
And this one I'd even looked up I had pulled the VIN and saw that it was a Florida bike all its life. And I thought, man, this only have 15,000 miles. It ought to be pretty good. And I went to look at it, and it looked like it had 80,000 miles and been ridden in Ohio weather all its life. Like, it had rust in places it shouldn't have.
Well, it was a Florida bike. They didn't say it was the upper panhandle inland. It was sitting at the beach.
It was apparently something, because man, like the bolts on the mirrors were rusted. Like it had some jank wiring. Like, it just made no sense. Like, this bike must have had the worst, roughest life it can imagine. Especially considering, like I said, it was only 15,000 miles. I really think the miles were fake. I think somebody had, you know, because like there were only a couple of records that I could come up with on that bike. Like, there wasn't any service records, which apparently motorcycles service records they're harder to, like, they don't do, like, you know, whatever Carfax or whatever it does for cars.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think the dealers and all submit the records to Carfax that way. Because there used to be a bounty. The car dealers would get paid I don't know, some cents or whatever for every record they submitted to Carfax. And I don't think the motorcycle dealers do the same thing. So the service records are harder to come by.
Yeah, I saw it had 2 owners in Florida, and the first one maybe put 3,000 miles according to the odometer reading. The second one had put up to the 15,000, and then it moved to Arizona for a very, very short period of time. Do we pay what we want for a bike? Never.
I paid what I wanted for my bike.
So, but anyway, long story short, bike wasn't what it was. Like I said, and we were just looking around the showroom. There was a couple of bikes I wanted to look at. Most of them had already been sold in the time frame that we went to look. And so we passed by this blue and black CVO model, and I knew it was a CVO because it had a Screaming Eagle 110 in it. And we looked at it, and obviously, you know, the CVOs always have all the crazy options. You know, they got everything on them. And my wife absolutely is like, she's like, well, what about that one? And I'm like, that one's too expensive. She's like, but it's nice and it's blue, and because it's her favorite color. And
yeah, my wife, same thing.
I will say, I really, really like your bike now, but there is one. I want to say it was 2020 or 2021. They changed the blue a little bit, and I like that blue a little better. But your color is definitely one of the blues I like.
Well, thank you. It's a 1-year color.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, they put it on the touring bikes for 2019, and it was on, I want to say, the Softails and the Sportsters for 2020, and then they got rid of it. So
yeah, they changed they changed the color and then they went two-tone with it or something like it's
yeah,
similar but it's
this
a little
year,
different.
yeah, this year you can get a billiard blue with like a silver or gray or something, but it's not the single color like I have.
Yeah, so yeah, we like I said, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I like it, but it's too much money, and we is like, well, we'll keep looking around. And my wife's like, she's like, did you like the bike? I said, yes, I liked the bike. Of course, I liked the bike. It was a beautiful bike.
What's not
And
to like?
yeah, what was not to like except for the price? And she's like, well, if you like the bike, then just buy it. I said, but it's more money than I want to spend. And she's like, just buy the bike. And I'm like, and I literally called my mom and I was talking to my mom and you know, I was telling her about what, you know, same thing about the other bikes we were looking at. And I was telling her about the one that the wife liked, and she and she asked the same question. She's like, well, do you like the bike? I said, of course I like the bike, but I'm trying to talk myself out of it. You know?
And your mom's like, why?
So yeah, so ultimately I asked for about $1,000 less than what they were offering for it. They accepted it. I bought it. I wish I had looked over it a little bit thorougher. I would have asked for some other thing. I would have asked them to do some other service to it before I had bought it, but that was my fault. I was kind of in a hurry. I just wanted to get it done, and we were, you know, it was kind of one of those things. Mostly for me, the tires are kind of the issue. The date code is like the tread's not bad, but the date code is really old. For
What year is it? What year are the tires?
2013s.
Ooh,
Yeah,
dude, let me tell you, go get those things swapped out. My wife's Sportster has 2013 date code tires on it, and let me tell you, her bike has, I think, 3,500 miles on it. And if it wasn't last year, it was the year before. And I don't think I was recording, but I was riding along. No, I was not recording. I know. I was riding along, and the car in front of me like slammed on their brakes, and the car, because the car coming the other way had tried to cut out in front of them, and I was like, "Oh, what do I do?" And I grabbed too much brake, front and rear, and the bike stayed upright, started sliding sideways. So I released the brakes and then got on them again gradually. All all this stuff. It takes a minute to explain, but it happened in like 5 seconds.
right.
And I ended up, and her bike's got bags on the back of it, and I ended up with less than 6 inches on either side, and I threaded the needle, and then I promptly rode a quick 10-mile loop, went home, changed my drawers because that it took a crowbar to remove the seat from my ass after that ride. I was like, good God. So I immediately hopped on my bobber, which had new tires on it, 1-year-old tires. This was 2019. And I went on the same ride and I slammed the brakes at the same time, just like I'm by myself. If I fall, nobody gets hurt except me. And it didn't lock up or anything. And I was like, those damn tires,
Yeah.
So change the tires.
Yeah, I was hoping to get one season out. My plan was always to change the tires, but my plan was to hopefully get one season out of them. But yeah, more than likely they're going to get tires here fairly quick. I've already been looking at tires. I just haven't quite fingered what I want. Well, I want Michelin Commander 3s like I got on the Dyna, but they're kind of expensive.
How much are they?
For the big boy bikes, it'd be $600 plus ship, not including install.
So that's about what they charge for the stockers here.
Yeah.
And I remember on my 20K service, which I had done a couple of months ago, they did tires and all 4 wheel bearings and parts and labor included. It was like $1,150. And that was for all 4 wheel bearings and both tires. I think the tires were $700 by themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Well, especially if you did it through the dealer. I know those Commander 3s are a little more expensive, and that's why I ended up with Commander 3s actually on the Dyna, because I ran into the same situation. It was like $30 difference between stock ones at the dealer or Michelin Commander 3s through Iron Pony, which is one of our local shops. and that's ultimately why I went to the Michelin Commander 3s, because obviously they get great reviews all the way across. For the most part, I love them. They're very, very consistent. I don't put enough miles to go like, oh my god, you're gonna get all these great miles out of them. But as far as like a grip, if you want grip, they are a great tire for the grip. They're, like I said, they're very consistent, and that for me is a huge thing.
Well, I can tell you that I put 7,000 miles on the first set of tires because my bike had 3K on it. And by 10K, they were cupped and they were shelving. So they'd go through a corner like this. And right before I hit 10K on the second set, it was about the same thing. I started to have flashbacks. So I know two things every 10K: wheel bearings and tires. I gotta have changed out on this bike. So I think the
Yeah,
next time it goes in for tires, I'm gonna get Commander 3s or something.
yeah, I would definitely say Commander 3s are definitely a good tire. If like I said, they're a little bit more pricier than some of the others, but
Well,
um,
I can tell you this. I've been giving the same advice for 20 years to anybody that says, John, what kind of tires should I put on my bike, car, boat, plane, whatever? I'm like, get the best ones you can afford.
yep,
Because then I ask them, what part of your vehicle actually makes contact with the road? And they're like, tires. There you go. It's like the number one safety thing you can have next to brakes.
yeah, yeah. And I've already done the 3-hole change. Already did plugs. Already changed over the
Whoa, whoa,
wires.
whoa. This is a family channel. Oh.
Um, but
They didn't do a full service when they got the bike.
this is a smaller. I mean, they have their own little mechanic shop, but I wouldn't trust. I'm just that kind of guy. Like I don't, unless I buy a brand new car off the showroom floor, I'm immediately changing the oil. I'm immediately doing all that service. Um, Rogueland Andy says he gets about 20K out of American Leats, but yeah, like I said, definitely I'm going through the bike right now. I think Mr. McStash is going to help me do the brake and the clutch because it's got a hydraulic clutch on it.
Yep.
So I'm going to go through and do that service. I'm also going to check the wheel bearings and check the neck bearings. I don't have an actual jack for that. So again, Jason's going to help me with that. And then I do got a feeling I'm going to have to put wheel bearings at least in the front. Because I took it out the other day when it was nice, and I was up to 55, 60 miles an hour. And when I went into a curve, like it was kind of almost like a rumbly feeling as I turned. And it was, you know what I mean? But as soon as I straightened up, it stopped. It completely stopped.
That could be the tires.
It could be, but I feel like that noise would be like it's not based on necessarily speed. It's always based on the angle.
So wheel bearings typically for me, because I've had a number of cars that had bad wheel bearings. I had a 92 BMW that I could tell how fast I was going without the speedometer based on the pitch of the wheel bearings.
I've had a few.
Because it was like 35, 45, 55, 65 on up. You could hear it, and the pitch just got a little higher each time. With my 2019 Street Glide, I actually have the footage somewhere on my computer here where I was getting on the highway and I was on the on ramp, and 60 mile an hour, start leaning the bike over, and my helmet cam picked up the whine, and you could hear it. And as soon as I straightened up, it stopped making it, but I could feel a buzz in the handlebars.
That was the other thing too. I could feel a little bit of that rumble as I was leaning over. That's why I said I'm not saying it couldn't be a tire, but I'm also thinking like if I change the tire, I might as well just put wheel bearings in it just to be. It's got 34,000 miles on it, so.
Yes, I see Road Glide. Andy says that's the tire. I think he's talking about the whine I was experiencing. He's not wrong, and I mix metaphors quite a bit. So for me it was a combination of the tires and the wheel bearings. It was kind of a twofer there. I expected one, but not both at the service. So when the Harley dealer called me up, I was like, thank God I'm seated. I was like, that one hurts, dude. I was like, does that come with some KY or what?
Man, paying that Harley tax.
Oh, dude, it was, that I'm sure you saw the video. It was tires, wheel bearings, the rear pads and brake flush, and the heated grips and the 20K service.
Mm.
So it was just shy of like $3,000.
And
And
Jason just said he just put like 2 in his, and I'm like, gee, many Christmas, man. It's crazy. Like
everything's expensive, man. Tires are twice the price, oil's 3 times the price, labor's gone up 30%. They got to keep the lights on at the dealer and keep the mechanics happy. And I, you know what? It's cost of doing business. I look at it as extra insurance because somebody else looked over the bike who's trained to look over bikes, and they're going to pick out, oh, well, this, and this are wrong. So, they're just in there going, what else can I get this guy for? So they're looking over everything. And I take that for granted as a safety inspection. Road Glide Andy says upright or in a turn wheel bearing is the same. It's going to be constant. Yeah, mine was constant at like 65 miles an hour. So
yeah, when I'm straight and I'm going, I paused for some reason, didn't I? You still
your video paused. I thought you fell asleep.
No,
I have that effect on people.
Nah, my camera. I don't know why it does that to this camera, but let me switch cams. I was having trouble getting I was using the GoPro for a while, and then it shut down, and now, well, no, it doesn't want to stay powered.
I'm actually impressed. I've got the Hero 8 here with no battery in it. It's just plugged in the USB via the computer, and it works pretty good for these things.
Yeah, it wouldn't power on to me without the. Now it's not powering on at all.
Mine, I can put my finger in it. There's no battery. You plug it in and wait like 5 seconds, and then hit the button and it turns on.
Yeah, mine's not powering on at all.
Pull the battery HDAV, I'm with you. That's why I go to an indie shop. I would go to an indie shop, but the one I trusted closed down last winter. And I actually found out from a buddy in Colorado who was sent a picture from another friend out here in Maryland. Said, hey, by the way, your favorite shop closed up. And I was like, son of a bitch. I got Kawasaki's that need service, and they're the only people I trust to work on it. So now the bikes are sitting until I find somebody else to work on them.
Isn't that the way it always works, though? It's like, oh man, I hope this Hero 8 didn't just take shit on me.
If it did, I'm glad we don't have smell-o-vision. But yeah, I mean the indie shop I used to go to had been working on my bobber since, hey, you're back. Had been working on my bobber since 2010 when I got it. And they worked on everything in our fleet that had 2 wheels. And when I bought the Harley, they were like, take it to the dealer for the first one and then bring it to us afterwards. And in the meantime, the guy's assistant mechanic, who was excellent, I mean, did all the work on my bikes. He left. He had back issues and stopped working. And then like a year later, I had my bike serviced there. And then 6 months later, he closed up. I was hoping he would take my KZ in and spend some of my money on replacement parts, but now I got a paperweight in my backyard.
Yeah, luckily I will say that we were at the Harley dealer the other day, and we signed up for the Harley credit card. So,
dude, I love my Harley credit card.
Just waiting for that sucker to arrive. My wife freaked out when she saw the number.
the credit limit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I think it was like a month after I bought my bike, I got the Harley credit card offer in the mail, and they were like, yeah, get an extra 17,500 points. And I was like, sold, sign me up. And it's paid for like all of my services since then. It didn't quite pay for this last one because, obviously I didn't spend $275,000 on the credit card, but it paid for a big chunk of it. So I was happy. Yeah, he froze up again.
Yeah, I think no, it's me. Let me switch cameras.
It's the only reason you had me on here is to run the show for you while you suss out your camera problems.
Oh, dude, it's brutal.
Yeah, that's one thing, knock on wood, I haven't had much issue with, except my keyboard and mouse. I was trying to edit the other night, and they kept disconnecting from the computer. So I was like, son of a bitch. But a couple of Windows updates later, and we're good to go.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna actually try to like unplug it and plug it back in.
So while he figures that out, let me plug my channel. Has anybody seen Road Reality lately? We're doing lots of videos, one every day for a month. No, I'm kidding. One every day for a week. And I like to see Road Glide Andy there in the chat and HDAV Traveler. I don't know who B Bucks Rides is, but welcome. Nice to meet you. And that's all we got. Okay, so I'm out of content. Look at that. No, you know what? After Travis's last live stream, I went and bought another USB hub and another external hard drive. And when he comes back, we'll talk all about it. Yeah, where's the link? Yeah, it's just me now. This is great. Oh, he's back. Maybe. Road Glide Andy, I don't have the link. Travis has that. I am but a humble guest.
Yeah,
am I still muted?
No. My camera keeps like showing up and disappearing. It keeps disconnecting. Hold on.
Sounds like you need a new computer. You ought to sell that new bike and buy a good computer.
Oh, dude, if my wife really knew how much money I had in this thing.
Who let this jackass on my stream? Oh. So what mods do you have planned for the new bike already? Hey, Busted Knuckle Motorcycles. What's happening? Hey. Welcome to the Road Reality live stream hosted by Travis at MyDunnLife. Yeah, he's having technical issues, so I'm kind of trying to juggle all the plates here, you know?
Maybe.
Uh-oh. We went black screen. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. It's like 38 degrees and wind's blowing outside and can't ride in the middle of the night. And so we're on a live stream. We're having fun. We're talking instead of the 120th anniversary bikes that everybody else is talking about, we're talking about the 105s. Yeah. Now Travis bought a 2011. So what is that? A 108?
110.
I know it's a 110. It's a 108th anniversary. B-Bucks Rides. He picked up a 2 terabyte external Seagate. Is that a hard disk drive or the solid state drive? Because your old buddy John just got a 14 terabyte external hard drive. Yeah. Yeah. It's 29 terabytes of storage connected to this laptop right now. It's good times. I think I can see a light on it off camera. I think the hackers are trying to get into my data. Oh, you know what? You know what I can do? I can let you guys in on a little bit of a secret. I'm going to have some more information on my channel in the coming weeks or months. Who knows? All my stuff's delayed. But I had a friend reach out, and she does mugs. And if you saw yesterday's video on the Road Reality channel with the winter solstice sunset ride, you'll recognize this picture. Travis can't see it because his camera doesn't work. But she made me up 2 of these mugs with this picture on it. How cool is that, huh? Isn't that neat? Yeah, she put
that's
my
pretty
logo
awesome.
on there. And then it's got my favorite picture that I ever took of my Harley. Yeah, I can actually make it level. Yeah. And it's a spill-proof lid, so I don't know how it works yet. But this piece comes up and I can drink coffee. And then I can pop the back to let in more air. And it's a clear lid, so I can tell how much coffee I have left, which is very important when you're riding to know how much coffee. It's a platter. Yeah, it's a platter drive. Exactly. And you need, I think he's talking about hard drives. You need another one as a backup. Yeah, I know. Trust me. The two is one and one is none paradigm has not escaped me. But if you're talking about coffee mugs, she sent me 2 of them. So I have 2 of these bad boys that I need to go get on the channel and Take a look-see. Make sure they fit in the cup holder. Hey, look, Travis is back.
Hey, I'm back.
I can relax for a minute.
No, you relax.
Dude,
Is it
me
really
relax.
delayed?
That's right. There's no relaxation here. I looked at my YouTube channel a couple hours ago, and I've got 17 videos uploaded, ready to go, and I've got about 10 more to edit.
Yeah, you're a monster when it comes to the having those ready to go.
I have no life. I don't actually do anything. I go to work, I go home, hang out with the wife and kids, and then when they go to bed, I come out here on the porch, watch YouTube, and edit YouTube, and that's it.
Yeah, it's I'll be honest, it's been so crazy at work here lately, and me and the wife are both working nutty hours, and yeah, those are pretty awesome. I've looked at a couple of different options. The radio itself, we were talking about a little mod thing. I am looking at trying to add Bluetooth to it, just to make things a little bit easier. Right now, the heel toe shifter absolutely just drives me nuts. I really don't like them. Everybody's like, "Oh man, they're great. You just have to get used to it." I'm like, nah, I can't.
Dude, I commented on your video. I love the heel toe shifter.
I hate
I'm
it.
old and I have gout, and when it flares up, it's like if we go back a few months and on my channel, I had a video where I had the thumbnail is the heel toe shifter. And I'm like, how awesome is this thing? And it was awesome because it was the only way I could ride my bike with that much pain.
Yeah, for me, like I look like an idiot. I literally have to like lift my leg up and like stomp on it to actually get it to shift, and I can't lift my foot up high enough to get over it, and it's pretty low.
What size boots do you wear?
10.5, 11.5, depending on the boot.
Women's or men's?
Depends on the day.
Hey, you just need high heel boots, buddy.
Yeah. But
I wear like a size 12 boot, and I'll be honest, the heel toe shifter on the Harley is a lot more cramped than it is on like a Kawasaki Vaquero.
Yeah, the 80s Goldwing we were talking about from that one video, I actually rode it a little bit, and I didn't care much for the Goldwing heel toe shifter either. Jason did show me how to actually get the damn thing in neutral. I was struggling big time with that.
Really?
He showed me a trick where you kind of like jam your foot under the front one and then just kind of push on it a little bit, and the pushing in and up will almost guarantee it'll go into neutral.
Kind of like this.
Well, yeah, kind of like that.
For the viewers, yeah. I tried that the other day. It didn't work on my bike.
It would really depend on your boot. Like my boot I can just barely get the tip of it underneath the edge of the peg.
Just the tip.
Just the tip.
See how it feels for a minute.
Yeah. But yeah, the heel toe shifter, which that's like a $35 piece of adapter or whatever to make that happen. I do plan on putting LED lights all the way around. The handlebars.
Are you gonna go custom dynamics on the lights?
No, no. No.
Come on, man! You gotta get the custom dynamics.
Man, nothing against all my buddies that out there, but I even hit one of them up. I said, like, hey, do you have like an affiliate link or something? If I was going to buy it, I'd like for him to get credit for it. And he's like, no, he said they don't do anything like that. He's like, even I pay, pretty much full price for it. He said, I just promote it, you know what I mean? Because he likes the product. And I'm actually going to transfer the LED turn signals that I had on the Dyna. Those are going to move over to the new bike. The taillight I did have on the Dyna, I now kind of wish I hadn't sold it to Jason. Because I really liked it. It did the like flash thing and then went solid when you
it had a back off module on it.
Right. And I think at the time I paid maybe $50 and it's now like $100. So I'm like having to pay twice as much as I paid for it.
Well,
Um, so
dude, I tell you, I love the custom dynamics. I bought them. They had them to my house 2 days later. I got the halo turn signals that are white when you're driving, and they turn yellow when you get the turn signal on. And they're smoked covers front and back. And then I've got the LED Pro Beam headlight. And I think all told it was like $600 or $700. I don't know. I've got it in a spreadsheet somewhere, but I tell you what, it throws a lot of light and doesn't mess with the radio or nothing. So it's a solid upgrade.
yeah, I won't say I did. I haven't looked at them. I'm not saying I absolutely won't buy some, but right now, like I said, I do technically have ones that I want to use. But I may upgrade down the road. Um, I do want to upgrade the headlights to LEDs. I'm looking at a couple different brands there. Um, but the handlebars for me though is probably the one that's right now that I'm most interested in modifying, because man, I don't know what it is about the 7.5-inch bars that come stock, but like I feel like hunched over and like crunched in. I really just
Oh
don't.
yeah, you need them up higher, probably a little further away from you. Are you tall?
I'm average height. I mean, I'm like 5'10". I mean,
Huh. I want mine to be up a little further and back, so I don't have to lean forward to control the bike.
and that's exactly what I want. From everything I've read, I can go 10-inch bars and not have to change all the wiring, and that's the part I'm really trying to avoid, because if I do, that's going to get real super expensive quick, and I just don't have the money to spend on that right now.
Dude, the I've seen people on the Street Glide forums that are like, "How much are you getting quoted for bars?" And people are anywhere from $1,200 to $1,600 to replace the bars. I'm
Yeah.
like, the hell? I swear, my next bike will be a Road Glide. I could do those at home in my driveway. You know?
Yeah, those are definitely a whole lot easier. Even my Dyna isn't, it wasn't really that hard. Um, but even with the Dyna, it came stock with the 4.5 with 1-inch pullback, and then it kind of had like a 2-inch bar on top of that, and I upgraded that to a 6.5 with a 1-inch pullback, and that was like the perfect height for me. It wasn't up too high. It was just kind of out, and but I could kind of sit back a little further, and that's really
Oh yeah.
kind of what I want. Um, I want less pullback. I want a few more inches up, and I would really love to go 12s, but everything that I've read says on my year model 12-inch you have to change the lines, and you have to extend the wires. You just can't do it.
Or you just have to ride really straight, and not go around sharp corners where you have to
There,
turn the
yeah,
handlebars real far.
yeah. There
I
you go.
did I did bars and seat on the Vaquero when I had it,
Hmm.
and I bought a Corbin seat, and it pushed me down and back, but it splayed out my legs far enough that I couldn't flat foot the bike anymore, and then my arms were stretched out because I'm a couple inches shorter than you, so I ended up buying a set of miter bars and Avon grips, and I had a buddy of mine from Colorado. He was visiting the area, and I called him up. I was like, "What are you doing on Tuesday?" And he's like, "Nothing." It's like, "Great, come on by the house." And he came by the house, and we slapped those bars on. It took us about an hour, and yeah, it was done. I was like, "Hey, now I can ride the bike a little bit. It's more comfortable."
Yeah, I was hoping to kind of get away, especially with being CVO. I was kind of hoping I'd get away with doing less mods. And I don't think I'm gonna have to do as many. Obviously, it's got a heated seat. It's got heated grips. Those were stock on that model. It makes plenty of power. The exhaust is louder than a normal Ultra, but it's not it's not like a was it D&D exhaust or something that's like the loudest one you can buy for that bike. Um, but yeah, I don't like I said, I don't think I'm really going to do anything motor wise. I'm not going to do anything exhaust. If I do, like I said, if I do anything, it's going to be maybe changing the mirrors. I kind of like the ones that have the little concave mirror in the corner. I'm looking at those. Um,
I don't worry about what's behind me,
I
and it's all behind me.
I will say that I may have ripped it a little bit in my last ride, and let me tell you, that bike will rip.
Oh, I'm sure.
It pulls pretty good. It makes good torque. But
Yeah, I don't really worry about top speed or acceleration because I just remember the ride home from the dealership because the test ride I'm following the sales guy and where he's ripping it down a back road and like stopping smoking a cigarette waiting at the next stoplight for me or stop sign, and I'm just ripping it right, not a care in the world. And then riding home on the bike after signing for it, it's like this is my bike now. And every time I hit the throttle, it tried to throw me off the back. And I was like, just keep upshifting till it stops trying to throw you off. And now I'm used to it and all, but yeah, it's stock. It's plenty. You don't have to go any faster than that. I already can brake, haven't broken any laws.
yeah, Road Glide Andy. I've actually looked at the KST customs. They do have some that are kind of in that price range that I'm looking for. Right now they're out of stock. At least a couple of the places I've been looking. So that's been part of the problem too. Is man, bars for some reason are one of those like the stock is pretty thin.
Yeah, I haven't bought bars in years. Oh, it looks like Road Glide Andy wants to join in.
Let me send him a link here. I sent it to you on Instagram. But I mean, overall, I do like the bike. They always say a bad Harley is a stock Harley. So you're always going to change something. But
Dude, see, I must have gotten so lucky because when I bought my bike, like I was looking through the P&A catalog, spending my imaginary money. Like, oh, if I buy a bike, what am I going to put on it? And it was like Kahuna Collection everything because I think it looks great. And then it was, well, we definitely need this rear cylinder fan and the mid-frame deflectors, and we really need the quick release hardware so we can put luggage racks and stuff on. And then when I looked at the 2019 bike that I bought, it had all of that already installed. Like, give me a break. It was like they set it up for me. It's blue and has all the crap on it I want. But I ended up adding saddlebag guards in case I dropped it, and I added a bigger windshield or a better windshield, and I ended up getting the tour pack on it. But really, I mean, and a cup holder. Like, who knew?
cup holders
Little
are.
did I know when I bought the bike, I was going to need a cup holder, and I was going to be this world famous YouTuber that is known for drinking coffee and smoking cigars while he rides. So,
At a
you know,
stoplight, yeah.
but dude, I drink while I'm riding. Are you kidding me? What's up, Andy?
What's going on, gentlemen?
Welcome
Yeah.
to the big show.
Yeah.
We got Travis outnumbered Beards 2-0.
I know. I can't.
Rolling if we tried.
Yeah, Busted. I noticed that it's doing that. It's weird because I don't see it on. I don't see it on the StreamYard, but it shows.
I see it.
Well, let me stop my cam and I'll start back up again. Maybe that'll
There he
clean it
goes.
up.
He's
Can
going
you
to
hear me
leave the
now?
two of us running it for him.
Oh God.
I
I'm
know. Andy, do you drive a freight shaker?
I work on them.
Oh yeah, well, that's better. You get paid more to work on them than to drive them.
Very true.
No, I don't. No, I don't. Our drivers make more money than we do.
Oh yeah, I don't know anything about it. I just figured maintenance always makes more than driving.
Yeah, our drivers make more money than we do, and our office personnel and management make more money and get more PTO and all that fun stuff than we do. We
You
gotta
gotta get into that then.
Dude, I did the management thing for one of their shops, and it was a shit show. I'm happy just being a wrench turner.
Yeah. I would love to do it. I don't have the skills for it.
It ain't nothing but a bunch of nuts and bolts.
Yeah, I know. Dude, I've been
Awesome.
stripping bolts since I was 6 years old.
Yeah, you gotta kind of, not do that.
Yeah. My dad quickly realized what was going on. He's like, "You're the head flashlight holder, and if we don't need a flashlight, go play in the yard because I don't want you breaking any more of my shit."
Oh, no.
He was pissed about it.
I've been wrenching on stuff since I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
I wasn't much older than that when I started helping, doing that kind of stuff. So
Nope. Not me. I'm not allowed. Hold the flashlight. That's it.
Tearing bicycles apart, tearing tractors and lawnmowers apart, just all kind of stuff.
Yep.
It just got the bigger stuff. So,
If it was electronics, I could take it apart and put it back together.
yeah.
I had half a career in taking apart electronics as a kid and putting them back together, and then they magically worked. Yep, everything from a computer down to a fish finder.
Nowadays, pretty much 90% of what we do on the trucks is electronic.
I have no doubt. Man, everything's controlled by electronics now.
It is ridiculous. They put radar systems on and everything else, and adaptive cruise control. It just, it's a nightmare.
Oh, I love my adaptive cruise control. Are you kidding me?
I hate it.
Dude, I use it
on a
every
semi-
day.
I have it on my wife's car, and it's great on a car. But let me tell you, on a semi, it's terrible.
Oh, yeah?
Lane departure, collision avoidance.
Collision avoidance, I turned that one off on my truck because it didn't like me getting up to the, because I got a Ram 1500, right? So you all know it's a half ton truck. And I'd get too close to the car in front of me, and it would start slamming the brakes right as I'm trying to cut over and merge into the next lane, and I got pissed off at it. I turned that off, but I leave the adaptive on because every time I have to drive my truck, I don't want to be bothered by it. And all the freaking idiots in the DC area just seem hell-bent on having me end up in a ball of fire. And so I'm like, nope, adaptive cruise, boop, stress level goes down.
Now, I just got that Tundra, and it's got the blind spot sensors.
Yeah,
and
is that the new Tundra?
I got a 17.
Oh, okay, good. You got a good one. New one looks like a transformer.
But it's got the blind spot sensors and park assist, but I can turn all that off. The wife likes it, but I don't need that shit.
I don't need it, but I leave it on all the time. And my truck parallel parked itself the other day at work.
No.
I was like, hell yeah, you park yourself, truck. Hit the button.
You ever see the videos when them things malfunction when they're parking themselves and they take out 3 vehicles?
No, I have not seen that. And I've been using the parallel park self-assist since 2015.
Yeah, there's videos out there that stuff doing that.
Oh, I have to look it up. That sounds like fun. I got my
the bad
foot
part
on
is
the brake the whole time.
Yeah, the thing is though, when those malfunction, they will literally just like you're just there for the ride. That's all you can do.
Nice. That's how I want to go out.
No.
Yes. Goodbye, world. Whee! My robot overlord is going to take me out.
I don't know that.
Did you guys see my Instagram video earlier today?
I did not. I was sleeping.
Oh, it's hilarious. So we were in a Walmart, and literally they had an automated floor scrubber that was totally automated.
I've seen those.
And
like a giant Roomba?
Pretty much. And I put the they took our jobs. it was some type of music audio based off that South Park meme, but yeah, it was pretty hilarious. I was just sitting here watching. I'm like, man, I could think of 50 ways this could go wrong, and I could get paid.
Oh yeah, that's a slip and fall lawsuit waiting to happen.
So how you liking the CVO?
For the most part, I do like it. As I've complained many times, I don't like the heel toe shifter, but
All right,
Um,
let's address that real quick.
Sawzall.
Heel toe shifter. Go to Iron Pony Motorsports. Okay, I'm gonna fix two problems for you at once. If you go to Iron Pony Motorsports and you walk in and you go back to the right, walk up and down those aisles, you'll get discount deals, and you will find Kuriokin brand extended heel toe shifter, and you'll also find the extended brake pedal for your rear brake, which will bring your brake pedal down lower, so you don't gotta bring your foot up so high. I never could understand why Harley did that. No other bike is like that. Harley's the only one who has their rear jacked up.
Right now, I got about this much space between the floorboard and the peg, but it's just the way my leg is. Like I can kick, this way, but I can't kick this way without lifting my. Well, I say kick, but I mean lift the heel of my foot.
Instead of, let me find something here. Surely I gotta have something laying around here. There's a pen. There's another pen. Okay. Let's see here. Instead of your heel toe shifter being pointed up, it needs to be more down or more level. And that'll all adjust on the sponge. And just take the Allen screws out, pop them off, and you can turn that.
Yeah, the shaft that comes out of the transmission has all the splines on it, and so you just need to take the thing off, rotate it 1 or 2 splines, put it back on, and then tighten down the Allen bolt. Because somebody else changed the angle for the back one up higher, and then you bring that back down.
Well, like I said, I only got this much space between.
It's too much.
Really?
That's too much.
It doesn't take much.
That's too much, and that's why you're having problems finding neutral.
Yeah, Jason showed me how to shove my foot under the front side of it and then kind of push up a little bit. And so far, that's worked pretty good to get it to kick into neutral.
I have a video because I did a video on shifting tips where to help with that clunk. If you take in before you shift, you hold a little bit of pressure on the shifter, and then when you get up to your RPM range, you're going to shift. You pull your clutch in and shift. You just a little bit of pressure. Just rest your foot on there. You don't want to push down on it, but just kind of rest your heel on it, and because I'm telling you, when I first started, I hated the heel toe shifter because I grew up on dirt bikes and stuff like that. But once I got used to that heel toe shifter, dude, that thing is the cat's ass. And if you get the extended so you have foot room, because the stock Harley ones take up the entire floorboard, so you can't put your foot on it.
Yeah, that's a little bit of my problem too. I have to cock my foot sideways to be on the board.
Yeah. If you buy the extended linkage, I think last time I was over Iron Pony, I saw the kit they had on sale for like $75.
Or just put highway pegs on.
Highway pegs ain't gonna help with his shifting.
No, but they'll help with his foot placement.
But yeah, I would do that. You'll grow fond of that heel toe shifter.
Yeah.
And then you said bars. What kind of bars are you going with?
What ones have I've looked at those KSTs. Like I said, they're a little hard to find in stock.
They are, but you also get if you get. Oh shoot!
The other ones?
What model is it? There's one model they have to where it's actually a 3-piece bar.
I've seen that, but they're like $600, and I don't have that much to spend. Yeah.
Yeah, but guess what, buddy? You bought a CVO and you went up to a touring model, so your pocketbook for accessories and stuff like that needs to get a little bit fatter.
Yeah, the little fatter kind of went with the bike payment.
If you see Travis with a mini skirt on standing on the corner, just realize $20 is $20.
Damn right.
Yeah. Dude, I just dropped $1,000 on 2 tires, an air filter, and balance beads, and the interfering lights, vent lights.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm looking at a grand later this year. Hopefully, rear suspension.
That's not hard to spend $1,000. It really isn't.
No, no, it's not. And I'm considering doing the front forks too.
I thought about it, but my thing is, I have a buddy who he bought a CVO. What was it? The 21. Yeah, he bought the 21 CVO Road Glide. And he had the tour pack and all that stuff put on it. He had Legends suspension put on the front and rear. And then he went to Gettysburg Bike Week and had air ride put on the rear. So now he's got the Legends shocks, rear shocks, just sitting in his garage. And I'm hoping to see him one day and buy them off of him.
That'd be cool. The Legends are very popular.
Yeah, I bought a set of Legends off a buddy. He had a Road King, or no, it was Road Glide without tour pack, and he originally went down to a 12-inch when he should probably stay at 13-inch, and regretted it, especially after he put a bigger front wheel on it. And
But the Road Glide specials come with 12-inch.
That was Road
Depending on
Glide.
which year, yeah.
It was Road Glide, and it originally had 13s. It was Road Glide. I don't know why I said Road King.
Yeah, but all the specials come with 12-inch shocks, like 2017 up.
Yeah, specials and standards have 12-inch shocks on them.
The standard should have a 13.
No, 12s.
Yeah? Okay.
Standard, same thing as special, except for you don't get a radio, is the way it used to be.
Oh, well, the current standard versus special, starting with the Milwaukee 8, I think,
It's all black.
You get a shorter, you get, it's black, it's a blackout package, extended saddlebags, shiny interfering instead of the matte, and you get shorter shocks and different wheels, and I think that's a better radio too. So that was all the differences in 2019 when I bought my Street Glide special. So I do believe that at least with the Milwaukee 8 engines, the 12-inch suspension is on the specials, and the 13 is on the CVO and the regular, and then people usually change out the 12s for 13s like I'm going to do. Because 2 inches of suspension travel ain't much. And what's up, Moto Ramblings? The retired man.
Oh, did I
yep.
got cut.
You screwed the pooch again, Travis.
Yep.
Yeah, we got Patrick in the side stat hanging out.
Yeah, I put a link. It's the link I put for the chrome ones. I was also looking at the black ones, the same model, but it's Chromeworks.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. Oh, yeah, look at that. Yep, they look like handlebars. They all look the same to me.
That sounds great, Patrick. Mr. Motor Ramblings. Hope to see you down there, man. That's going to be a good time. But I'm hoping that as many people that are saying are coming show up. I really do.
Well, I think between VAM and ONN, OWN, and yeah, I'm hoping both those events end up as good as they should. Anyway, it'll be great riding. If for anybody who hasn't done it, it's going to be awesome riding.
I think the only thing that's going to interfere with VAM is the dates, because that Harley's doing that 120th thing.
Yeah, and I was watching the Baggers and Brews channel, and they were talking about how expensive the tickets were for that event, and I was a little shocked, to be honest. Yeah, Definitely, suspension. 22 special was just too stiff. Yeah, I've got
Yeah,
that.
I'm trying to reserve my room here shortly for VAM. I've already gotten the Minister of Finance's approval, so I should be able to at least show up to VAM for a few days.
Are you coming to the Ohio one?
No, I've been given the axe on that one. That's not happening.
Oh,
I know. It was like you got one trip, and then I think we have a wedding to go to, and there's something else going on, and this year's going to be a lot of moving parts as it is. So I'm trying to lock in the VAM trip as it is.
Yeah, I was trying to actually combine it with possibly meeting up with some of the family in in Tennessee, Gatlinburg, right after VAM. But I don't know if that's gonna go through or not. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go use the restroom.
I've
John,
been joking with the wife that. What's that?
I was gonna say, John, you have the floor. You're in charge.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was joking with the wife last week. I was like, between your family, my family, and all the moto vloggers I talk to, I could stop every 2 hours from here to Key West and back and say hi to all of them and probably never have to spend a dime on a hotel.
Motor rambling, you've never been to any of the Windy Nine? Buddy, I can tell you from watching some of your videos, and you like the Blue Ridge Parkway and all that stuff, you're going to love coming up and riding these roads.
Yeah, he definitely finds the squiggly ones.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of them.
And he's gonna camp at VAM. Hey Patrick, I'll be the big spoon, okay? Click, everybody just clicked off the video. Look at that.
He pulls a camper.
Oh, with his bike?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I'm a little behind on everybody's videos.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure. Motor ramblings, put it in the comments section. Don't you have like a quick camp or something that you pull?
It'd be like my father-in-law. He's got like an 03 Harley full dresser that he's got a trailer for.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. It's just a small trailer with a tent, pop-up tent in it.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
What they are. Well, timeout campers.
Oh, man. You're going to spend more of my money. I might have to look one of those up.
They're only like $5,000.
Oh, shoot. $5,000. That's only like, 50 nights in a hotel.
Right?
That was a quick trip, man. What'd you do? Just go grab the trucker buddy?
I did the one hand.
Oh, jeez.
He didn't wash his hands when he was done.
That's okay. We can't get his germs across the interwebs.
Oh, I also forgot to say happy birthday to Jason, aka Mr. McStash. Today was his birthday. I think it's still today. Yep.
Oh, you didn't know? It's his birthday?
It was his birthday. Yeah, him and I.
Yeah. I wished him a happy one on Facebook.
Yeah, I did as well. Yeah, him and I here this past week did a bit of an exchange. I kind of posted it. He got me the Odin Gremlin bell.
Nice.
I got one custom etched with his outro.
Oh, that's cool.
So
that was pretty cool.
Most people's wives buy them a Gremlin bell. Mine cut my brake lines.
I know mine would.
Funny, lined up with that life insurance policy getting re-upped. Speaking of re-upped, I need a refill. I shall return.
Patrick uses a tent? Wow. All right, Travis, you're a techie, right?
I pretend to be anyway on YouTube.
Okay. Best Buy has like iPads for $250.
It depends on what you want to use it for.
Just for pulling up the Insta360 app and doing rough cuts.
I gotta
Like, I know
remember.
McStash uses the iPad Pro 3rd gen, but it's like almost $900.
Does he have a Pro? I didn't know he had a Pro.
Yeah, he's got a Pro.
Um, I've got the Mini from about a year and a half ago, but I haven't. I've done a little bit of video editing on it, but I haven't done.
On what, a new computer?
He's saying about getting an iPad to edit the Instant 360 videos.
Oh yeah, that's popular.
Yeah, but would like the cheap one from Best Buy work?
I don't see any reason
I
it
don't know.
wouldn't. I'd say if you could afford the little bit higher for the little more storage, you'd probably be better. I know that's been the only problem I've had with my iPad is connected, doing the storage stuff, but
Okay, you get one that's 64 gigabytes. It's $250.
yeah, I was looking to see if they had the 128.
You got one that's 256 for $399, which isn't bad.
I would definitely spend the coin to have more storage. I mean, if you're doing Insta360 editing, those files, if they're anything like the GoPro Max, they get huge fast.
They're huge.
Yeah. I went on one ride in December. It was 275 gigs for the 3-hour ride or something across 4 cameras. And I didn't even record the entire time. I had the remote and I was stopping and starting recording, and it still was a ton of footage. Man, that's why I got the 14 terabyte external to move all my archive stuff off to.
Right.
But yeah,
Now,
I would say
once I
the memory is the memory would be more of your limiting factor than the device itself. But other than that, yeah, it should be fine for editing that type of stuff. There's no reason it shouldn't.
What is it that Jack always talks about? Something to do with the video processing.
The GPU?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to this stuff.
Well, you're going to need a good GPU to speed up the playback, because usually the video editing software likes to use the graphics processor to encode and decode the video streams from your hard drive. So you need a beefier GPU to be able to handle the big resolution files. And Moto Rambling says he's a tent camper. Had to move his tent at the very first van. I heard about that, and that's why I was gun shy about going last year.
I had to move mine too.
Yeah, the forecast was nothing but rain. Patrick, the remote for the Hero 7 is the GoPro Smart Remote. If you can find one, I think they're about $60.
Yeah, I was thinking 50 or 60, something like that.
Yeah, but if you end up upgrading to an 8, 9, 10, or 11 or a Max, the 9, 10, or 10 and 11, I think, don't work with the Smart Remote. The 9 will and the 8 will, but then you need to get the remote. So upgrade your camera first, then get the new remote. Plus, the new remote works better, in my opinion.
Or just get away from GoPros and go with Insta.
You could, but I've heard a number of issues with their remotes, and the image quality isn't as good and things like that. So if you get a good GoPro, stick with it. I mean, I've had a couple of issues with mine, but nothing I couldn't work around.
The 1RS, the modular camera where you can get the 4K lens and the 360 lens and all that stuff. You change everything out. Dude, the batteries and everything for that thing are so cheap to buy.
Well, and you can buy the individual components if you damage them too when they're.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't got to buy an entire. If you screw up your 360 lens, you can buy a new 360 lens.
Yeah, I'm still, everybody hates on GoPro these days, but outside of a couple of issues I've had with mine, I've managed to work around them. So it's kind of a non-issue for me. The last time I had an issue was December, and I quickly figured it out and moved past it. And they've been aces ever since, knock on wood.
Yeah, the biggest problem I had was with the 7. I'd bought a 7, and it constantly would overheat. It would constantly lock up, even on 1080p. For whatever reason, it was in the wind. Like I had it outside the windshield, and it was still overheating on the Blue Ridge Parkway trip. The only other really big issue I've had with the GoPro is just the media mods. They don't last. They'll just all of a sudden, for no reason, stop working.
Yeah, I remember my 8, I think, froze up a couple of times in the heat. And I've had my 9 and 10 overheat when it was triple digits and they're sitting in the hot sun recording, especially at 4K 240 or 4K 120 for the Hero 9. But generally riding along, like I did that video where I rode with my neighbor. We had the 8 hanging off the front of her Yamaha, and the 10 was on my helmet, and the 9 was on the fairing, and we didn't have any overheating issues. The 9 for me sometimes did this dual exposure thing, especially if I changed the batteries on a hot day underneath like an overpass. The left and right sides of the frame would actually be different exposures by 0.5 or whatever, but it wouldn't stay centered. It would move around with the stabilization. It was like wherever the lens was physically, one side was lighter than the other, and it was kind of like, huh, what's going on here?
You know why the battery was the reason, because the extra stabilization is built into the battery.
On the Hero 7?
I don't know about the 7, but I know definitely the 8 and up that had the hyper smooth. That's why they're the blue batteries. They have the extra gyro or something in them that does the. That's why you can only do the hyper smoothing or whatever they call it. That's why it only works with the blue batteries.
No kidding. I did not know that.
Yeah,
I've got a metric ton of the blue tops sitting around now.
Yeah, if you like, because this is obviously for my 8. If you use one of the 7s that doesn't have the blue top, it won't do the hyper smooth stabilization on it.
Huh. That's interesting. I don't know what battery I was running. All my batteries are over on my workbench now, but I've got a mix of blue and black top Hero 8 batteries, and one of them works and the other one cut out the last time I tried to use it. It recorded for like 5 minutes and then shut off. So I don't know what's going on with it, but I had a number of the swollen batteries, and GoPro replaced some here and there, and it's kind of a crapshoot. I've been running the Enduro batteries. I don't have them handy, but I've been running the Enduros and the 9 and 10, and they're just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look at those, because I saw your posts and I went and looked at, and actually at that point I figured out, because you have 2 channels, right, John?
Just one.
I thought you had 2. Or for some reason I wasn't subscribed to you, but I'm like, I know I've watched your videos before. Why the hell am I not subscribed to you? So I actually subbed to you today.
You're one of 5 today. I got 5 new subs. You know what? YouTube likes to delete some of the people that like my videos the most.
I would have been 2, because I have 2 channels. I always sub with this channel, but I also sub with the channel I actually view on.
Oh, okay.
So
there's a guy, Anthony C. Roberson, who's on motovlog.com, is where I met him. YouTube has deleted his subscription to my channel at least 3 times. And he'll go and I'll post something randomly and he'll be like, I thought I was subscribed already. Let me fix that. And then he'll send me a private message like, YouTube did it again.
Yeah,
I don't know why they do it. Yeah.
I'm like, I know I've watched your videos. I can't say I watch every single one, but I've watched several of your videos recently, and like,
I don't know. You know what? YouTube went through. I had a day or two with no new subscriptions earlier in the week, and I'm kind of pulling it up now. Yeah, I had no new ones from Sunday to Tuesday, and then I lost 3 on Wednesday, and then Friday I gained, or Thursday gained one back, and then Friday gained another one back or something, and then today they gave me 5. I don't even understand.
yeah, I was sitting at 180. I think I'm 183 or 184 now.
It's a crapshoot. I don't know. I'm doing this thing right now where I'm posting one new video a day for the first week of the month, because I've got, like I told you earlier, I've got so many videos already uploaded, and at this point they're 4 months old, in some cases 5 months old, and like they were uploaded 5 months ago, and I just never published them because other things took the 2 a week schedule, and then I bumped to 3 a week, and now I'm going to 4 a week, and it's like I can't catch up to the current footage, you know.
Mm. I wish I had that problem. I'm not saying I didn't shoot a lot of video last season, but like what I did shoot was so inconsistent. It was like, even when we were down in VAM, I don't know if I just kept forgetting to hit record, or I was just, trying to have a good time, I guess. And
How dare you? You need to record everything for the social medias.
I know. Normally, I'm the guy that records, 10 hours of footage and then have to try to figure out how to make it a 20-minute video.
Oh, no.
It was easy for me whenever I was working up in Aliquippa, because it was like an hour, so I could do 5 or 6 videos one way. Yeah. Now I'm 15 minutes away from work.
Aliquippa, that's Northwest PA?
Yep.
Yeah, my in-laws live up near that way.
Yep, I worked up there for a couple of years.
Nice. Yeah, my biggest problem was last year, and Travis, nope, did he freeze up? No, he fell asleep.
No, I was playing with my GoPro. It still will not power on.
Oh, wow.
I think it took a shit.
Oh, no. The last year, I went 61 days without being able to ride due to salt on the roads and weather and everything else, that this past fall, I spent so much time noodling videos and recording videos, and was like, great, January through March, I am covered 1 a week at least. And then my bike hasn't sat for more than 5 or 6 days at a shot. So it's just like, and every time I commute to work, there's a chance to record in the morning and a chance to record in the afternoon. So that's 2 more possible videos. And I go out on the weekends and I'm like, there's a video, everybody gets a video. It's the Oprah of videos. And so I'm just sitting on like a terabyte of footage right now that I just need to edit through.
Yeah, I
much. I think I got all my editing done. I've got 3 to edit. Well, I don't think one of them is going to make the cut.
Yeah, I had that problem too.
I may have been pulling that one a little too much.
So this is just to show you.
Describe every one of my videos.
If you guys look, any of you guys watching the stream while you're chatting?
Yeah.
So there's that's 14 terabytes. That's 12 terabytes. There's another terabyte.
It's delayed a little bit. It'll come up on screen shortly.
That's another 2 terabytes. And then the server, there's 4, 8, 16, and another 8.
So 24.
So yeah, I spent a ton of money on storage. And you see this says photo backup. That's also got all my video files from all my trips and stuff. So almost 8 terabytes.
I have deleted a lot of footage.
I bring the cameras in when I'm done. I take the videos. I put them into their proper file folders. I edit them. Once they're edited, I put them in another file folder, delete them out of the raw file folder, upload them to YouTube. As I upload them, I delete them.
I back up my footage, and
Don't.
when I go about once a quarter, I got to go in and clear stuff out because I only had an 8 terabyte hard drive that I was storing my archive footage on. So that's why I got the 14 terabyte one, and now I'm up to 29 total on this system because I have two 1 terabyte SSDs because that's the only way I can edit and actually not pull my hair out with 4 camera streams going at once. So, the throughput on the SSDs is just so much higher than a platter drive that it's the only way to go if you're going to be doing multicam videos.
No, I'm just going to be doing, hopefully, if I can find a wireless microphone setup, because even syncing audio off of the Sena with the 360 camera, I can't figure that shit out.
With that, I would look at the waveform, the audio waveform in your editing software, and then try to find the peaks.
I try that, but then I go in to edit like the 360 video in the 360 studio. I end up having to take and render a huge file just so I have video footage and then try to match it up. Whereas if I can find a wireless microphone set up, then I can hook that up to the 360 and done.
I like the Rode system. I don't have mine handy, but I've got the Rode wireless mic, and it's got several hours for a charge on the battery, and it takes all the mics you could want. It handles all of them.
Charging case?
What's that?
Did it come with the charging case?
No, it came with this. It says Rode on it.
Yeah.
It's just a fabric thing with a pouch for the.
You got they're just the little square
they're
transmitter receivers.
Here we go. I've got a transmitter here and receiver here.
Yep. And you had to buy everything separate.
No, this came as a package with the little case, and then it plugs into the same cable as a GoPro. So it's got a USB-C connection, and it just charges up off my computer when I need to charge it.
Now,
it came with this little extender cord too.
Does that also record to the device as well as transmit to the camera?
I don't know that this one does. I don't think it does. I think this one just transmits to the camera via the little red cord, and then you're good to go. So like I've got my Hero 10 here with the media mod on it, and you can see it's got the cold shoe. So I take my transmitter or receiver rather, slide it in, and then it plugs in on the back. So it'll plug in right there into the mic port. Once I do that, turn them both on, I'm good to go. And then when I use my Sony, it's got a cold shoe on the top as well. So if I can get it angled right, it's got the cold shoe here that the receiver slots into, and then it's got a mic input on the side of it somewhere.
Yeah, McStash sent me the link for the brand that he uses. It comes with a case that you can put he's got 2 mics and 1 receiver, and it comes with the charging case, and it's small and compact.
Yeah, I want to say that brand starts with an S.
Starts with an L. It's Lamellar or something like that.
Well, but Lavalier is a type of mic. That's your lapel mic.
I think it's one of the Amazon brands.
Oh, okay.
But they are currently unavailable. They look exactly like the Rode Wireless. The little red cable and everything. It all looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know, when I was buying the mics, I looked at all the reviews and everything, and I was like, "Yep, spend once, cry once, and it'll work. And the Rode has been really good. The biggest problem I've had with it is if I use a Purple Panda or another lapel mic connected to it, I always find that I'll position it and then I'll turn and it'll flip over. And then the audio is muffled after that because it's all inside the fabric. So I've actually
Yeah.
just gone to where I literally just take this unit and, like, if I was recording right now, I would slot it in just on here, and then I would just do my whole recording like this, and then it's always going to be fairly consistent.
Yeah, no, I know. I've seen Jason do it. He puts his on the back of his helmet, and then he connects it to his Sena.
Yeah, you can do that.
The only thing
I'm
that
currently
sucks.
noodling some other solutions, but wireless isn't one of them yet.
Yeah, the only thing that sucks with going through the Sena, and I sort of even have this problem when I'm recording through my 10C Evo is just that the audio quality coming out of a Sena is just not that good.
Well, the Sena's doing a lot of processing.
The Sena camera, yeah, but just like if you just use like the Sena 20S Evo, or the 20S, you just got to adjust your volume, turn your volume down. That was when McStash and I went down to Virginia to meet up with Boots and Jeans Riders over the weekend. That was one of the problems we had. One of us was turned up a little bit too much, and we just had to play with it and turn it down a little bit.
I have a, what do I have? I've got a Sena 10 SHFM or something.
Oh, okay.
It's got an FM tuner built in, and I tried to record from this into my phone via an app, but whenever I did that, the audio came out so garbled because it somehow bypassed the wind filtering on the Sena. So
It does.
my audio came out crap, and then that's when I started noodling how to actually get decent half helmet audio.
Yeah, that's what I'm after. I want to get rid of the modular. Not get rid of it. I'll keep it in the tour pack for wet weather and stuff, but I want to be able to wear my half helmet.
Yeah, unfortunately,
dude,
all of us can't be
the
as loud as Paul.
I look, I get comments on my audio, not quite frequently, but frequently enough that I've done enough testing videos, and here's how I do it because I want everybody to have great audio. And it came down to the microfiber wrapped around the dead cat, and then in post production the Clarity VX plugin for Resolve. Just that, and then the Batwing wings and the windshield. Those four things put together means you guys have seen my video on the highway. I'm cruising along 60, 70 mile an hour, and you can hear me just fine.
Yeah, even the video the one we were talking about earlier, your audio was fairly clear on it. So
the Enduro one?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it should be. I mean, that was on my Harley. I've got a couple of videos coming out in the next couple of days, or I think at least one of them, on my bobber that has no wind protection, and I just had to crank clarity up a little bit more and try to ride just a little bit slower, and you actually get clean audio out of it. It's been a game changer. If I crank it all the way to 100, it sounds like we're sitting here today, but I'm riding down the highway on my bike. The problem is when you get the side winds that come in and really hit that microphone real hard, you get a warbly kind of voice out of it when clarity tries to cut the background noise but keep the voice. Right. And that's been the biggest downside of it.
Yeah, I downloaded the app. I haven't got to really use it yet, but I did pay and get that app.
That it's a moneymaker for me because it saves. So between Clarity and Alex Audio Butler, they save me at least a half an hour to an hour each video, depending on how much music I have, because I don't have to keyframe my audio. All the levels are the right, decibels. Everything's mixed well. All the sound effects and ducking is done for me, and then Clarity strips out the amount of wind noise and engine noise that I want. So it's like all I have to concentrate on is cutting out the crap lines, trying to trim some ums and ahs out, doing my camera switching, and then I'm done. And even my color grading, which used to take quite a bit of time, is like 5 seconds at the start of the video, and then I'll tweak this clip, I'll tweak that clip, and that part's done too.
Yeah, when it comes to the coloring, once you're used to the equipment you're working with, you pretty much will have your set presets for however you want it to work. So yeah, I have fiddled with it a little bit, but I try not to mess with it too much because I always seem to overdo it.
Well, so that's the funny thing is ever since almost day one, I had my GoPros in the color profile, the vibrant, yada yada, whatever. And if I'm riding into the sun, my face is just a blob of white, and my jacket has lots of detail. The background looks great. And then if I'm riding away from the sun, I'm just a sea of black. And then when you change to that flat color profile, it pulls so much more data in and allows you to play with it that when you apply the LUT, you're just about done. But then I wanted a little bit of a stylized look to it. And at this point, unless it's really shady, like I'm directly away from the riding, directly away from the sun, and the sun is low in the sky, then I'll get a little bit dark and I'll be like, oh, let me brighten up the shadows or the dark by a quarter or a half, and then I'm good. And it's opened up. Like my videos, I think used to be fairly consistent where it was just bright all the time on me. And I would fix the shadows as best I could. But with this, it's like I can let some of that dynamic range just play out because I don't lose all the data from in the shadows and in the sun. Hopefully that makes sense.
It does to me. Obviously, I've played with it. I want to say thank you, Steve, the military biker. He stopped by, say hi. I feel like I've made it, man. I've got more than 3 people in the chat.
Yeah, I'm one of them. I always hang out in the side chat because sometimes StreamYard and YouTube they show up the comments at different times.
Yeah, the stream I think's got like a 10-second delay or something like that versus the.
Yeah, I see Patrick commented that my audio is incredible considering I'm wearing a half helmet. Yeah, and you know what? That's like saying my truck gets good gas mileage for a truck. I want to get to the point where people say John's audio is good. Period. End of sentence. That's always been the goal, and I think I'm very nearly there.
Yeah,
I didn't buy a truck for gas mileage.
You what?
Said I didn't buy a pickup truck for gas mileage.
What's the tow
I didn't
capacity on
either,
the truck?
but when you watch a review of a truck, that's like the first thing they'll say. Oh, it gets great gas mileage for a truck.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know. I've been noodling getting rid of my truck to get better gas mileage. Now that we're post COVID working in the office again, it's kind of expensive on gas, but then I just paid it off. So it's like, yeah, do I really need to get rid of it? Because anybody that knows me knows I'm going to get something newer and more expensive, and I'm going to have a payment again, and I don't really want a payment.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I didn't have much of a choice in the matter.
Yeah, see, my truck's only got 27,000 miles on it, so it should have plenty of life left in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as the body holds up. That's the only thing that sucks with some of those Dodges is that they once they start rusting, man, it's all over.
That's in your area. In my area, they don't do that. You guys run so much more salt on the roads. But what I did read was that the new body style, which started in 19, they did something to the underside of it to where it shouldn't rust as bad nor as quick. And after almost 4 years with my truck, there's no rust on it at all, knock on wood. There's not even a scratch on that truck.
Yeah, it's we use the liquid salt a lot here in Ohio, and it's terrible on cars and trucks, and then
Oh, it's rough. I drove through Ohio a few years ago, and there was like 2-year-old trucks sitting on the used car lot, and all the fender wells were rusted, rocker panels were rusted, running
Yep.
boards were all rusted because they're hollow underneath.
Yeah. Man, to find a clean truck up here is pretty hard.
It's going to be new.
I have been debating about trying to find another truck. The one that I technically have is actually my son's, but the debate has been for me to go out down to Georgia and find a clean, late '90s, early 2000 Chevy pickup truck and
Don't do it.
just go through it.
Don't do it.
Why?
Don't do it. I did that. Don't do it. Don't do it. I bought an 84 from down south and brought it up here and completely tore it down and redid it. And it didn't take long. It was rusted. Starting to.
It's just too close to that, huh?
Yeah. You bring a southern truck up here and they just rust. They rust quicker than the ones that you get up here.
Well,
I wonder what they do differently.
Well, if they're slated for an area they normally get some type of undercoating or extra coating. I had a friend who had a family member that passed away, and they went all the way out to Las Vegas to pick up the car that was and brought it back. And I told him, I said, first thing you do when you get it here is you take it to the nearest shop and you have them undercoat that whole thing. I said, this thing will not last in Ohio. And
that's another big misconception about undercoatings. Undercoatings are rubberized. Rubber holds moisture. Moisture creates rust.
There's a couple of different. You're right. Most undercoatings are rubberized coating, but there are a couple of undercoating types that are actually different.
There's some paints that you can use.
Right.
But most of your undercoatings are that rubberized crap.
Right.
The best thing to do is change your own oil, take the waste oil, and dump it in a bucket, dip a rag in that bucket, and wipe the frame down with used motor oil. And then take what's left, and every vehicle out there nowadays, in the doors, bottom door jambs, and the rockers, they have drain plugs in them because they don't know how to build anything these days. But you pull those plastic drain plugs out, get you a little garden sprayer, fill that thing up with oil, pump it up, spray motor oil up inside your doors and in your rockers. It's the only way you're going to keep them from rusting up here.
Yeah, there was something similar. I remember way back in the late 80s when I think they started to crack down on some of those undercoatings they used to use because they have obviously harmful chemicals in them. But a lot of them were just a form of processed motor oil.
They need to bring back asbestos and lead paint and just, let Mother Nature sort itself out.
We have a population problem. Bring back the dangerous chemicals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
We ate lead paint chips while sitting under the power lines growing up, and we turned out fine.
What is that? What is that meme? The Gen X, the generation so dangerous that we were left on our own.
Don't get me started with the Gen Xers because they are. I'm confused because a generation is technically 20 years, right?
Depends on where you are.
A generation is technically, by definition, supposed to be 20 years. So Gen X started from 1965 to 1985 is what it should go to. Okay? Some things that you Google, if you look on the wonderful world of Google and on the internet, there are some places that say Gen X goes from 65 to 85. That would classify me as a Gen Xer. Well, I've got some hardcore Gen Xers that I work with. No, I'm a millennial because my year I was born, I'm right there at the cutoff. But they don't classify me as a millennial because I grew up around the same stuff they grew up around. So,
Yeah, it used to be a little more year based, but you're right. Nowadays, it's based on certain things that you grew up with. I was on the tail end. I was born in '81. I was on the tail end of, you know, I saw the beginnings of the cell phone, the internet, like that. Those were things that I grew up into, but I wasn't born with.
Yep.
You know,
I was
and
an adult before that shit came out.
you know, I remember growing up and working the farms at 10, 11, 12. We, cut wood. We, baled hay. We took care of farm animals and all that stuff growing up. And, we, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want to do that job today if my life depended on it. But in the same boat,
You're me either.
I remember growing up on my grandparents' farm, and honestly, if I didn't do my chores, the bank would come and foreclose on the house.
Yeah, I don't think mine was that dire, but I spent my formative summers, June to August, farming the farm, and then 2 out of 3 weekends the rest of the year. No, thank you. I'm done.
The school bus come to pick us up at 5:30 in the morning. That meant you were up at 3 o'clock in the morning doing your morning chores, and then when you got off the bus, you were doing your chores. Then you were doing your homework.
Yep.
So you might have got 3 or 4 hours worth of sleep.
Oh, now we were in bed by 8, so even if you were up at 4 to give water and feed to the cows, you still got your 8 hours.
Nope.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty much part of the last, what I call the hardworking generation, where we knew what it was like to really be poor. We knew what it was like not to have the internet and devices, and we're the generation that's still not afraid to roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty if we need to. And not that we want to, but we'll do it if we need to. And I think the generation after us, is the one that a lot of them complain about, that don't want to work, and they don't want to, they don't want to get their hands dirty. They just don't understand what it was like when we were growing up.
The entitlement generation is what I like to call them.
Yeah.
And it's not the millennials. Plus, if you Google, what was it? We went down a rabbit hole one day, and there was characteristics of generations. The characteristics of Gen X's, pardon my language, is so fucked up. And they talk all the shit on millennials. Millennials have done better than the Gen Xers, according to that. The characteristics.
Dude. Look, I'm in IT, and I've been doing IT for like 25 years. I took a job 5-6 years ago where I was in my mid to late 30s, and they put me in a group with a bunch of college graduates, recent college graduates. And these guys, after about 3 weeks, figured we need to go to John and ask questions, because he's got a way in the meetings of just kind of, he gets stuff done somehow. And but there's this one project that was holding over my head for like 6 months at this job. And after 3 weeks, they started coming to me and they go, look, we got 3 options for solving this problem. And I go option B. And they look at me and go, but man, that's so hard. It's like 3 times as much work. And I looked at him and I said, let me tell you, Sonny, because I've been around a couple of minutes. You do it that way, and you won't have it come back, because it'll pass testing. It'll go to the customer. The customer will be happy. And we can move on to the next thing, because you got a list a mile long of things to do. And this applies to every industry. It's not just IT. No. But they started doing what I told them. And then more of them started coming to me and asking me how to do this. They should have made me the damn team lead, but they didn't. And it was so funny, because it went from these daily meetings of I did X, Y, and Z yesterday, and 2 of them came back. I got to work on those, and then I'll work on the next thing. And after about 3 weeks of asking old John here questions, it got to be, well, we got X, Y, and Z done yesterday. We're going to work on A, B, and C today. No more comebacks. Guess what, guys? You followed my lead here. Now, I mentioned the one thing was 6 months long. It was this project that had just not enough information to go on. Okay. It was like, here, design a car, 3-year-old. We're not going to give you any information. It's like, and what you get is what you get, you know? So after 6 months, they pulled me off of this thing and they put these 3 guys onto it. 3 guys to replace what I was trying to work on. And for the next 3 months, they came in and I had this shit-eating grin on my face because they'd come in and go, we're still working on it. We don't understand. We're missing this, this, and this. And I went, I told you guys. And since they moved me off of it, they put me on their projects. I was like, yep, yesterday I finished X, Y, Z, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. And today I'm working on Alpha, Gamma, Data, Pi, Epsilon. You know, I had to come up with some new letters for that one, but you get my gist there, right? It was like, yeah, guys, you got to do it the right way or it's going to come back and bite you. And that's something they didn't understand. That's my soapbox. I'm stepping off of it now.
Motor ramblings. I grew up prior to the internet. I didn't graduate high school that early, but I grew up prior to the internet. I grew up when you had to get your butt up off the couch and change the dial on the TV. And if mom or grandma was in the kitchen using the blender, it'd make the TV go fuzzy.
Yeah, you were the remote.
Yeah. You guys remember that? I was just sitting there thinking about that. Be in the kitchen, make mashed potatoes or mixing up some cake mix or something. Blender would come on, TV just.
Well, that's when we still had the rabbit ears on the TVs, but you know, back in the day, it wasn't just clicking the dial. You had to kind of tune it in.
What the hell are you talking about, rabbit ears? I used to have to go out, climb up on the roof, and adjust the antenna, and have my grandpa out there yelling, "Yeah, that's good, boy."
No,
we had a dial for that to rotate the antenna.
Well, y'all were both above me on that because we couldn't afford that. All we could afford was a cheap antenna that was duct taped on the back of the TV. And I didn't have a color TV until I was probably about 10 years old. 7, maybe 8, maybe 8, 9, 10, somewhere right around there. My dad, I remember, had the only reason he got a color TV and a Betamax recorder. VHS recorder, okay, which was technically different, but I say VHS because nobody ever remembers what Betamax was. And he only had it so he could. So when he worked on the weekends he could tape the Ohio State games. That's the only reason he had it. And he always made us, because you know, this was back before they had digital programming. He made us hit the record button when the game started and hit stop when the game was over.
Oh yeah, I remember my parents used to watch Dallas in the evenings on like Fridays, and it was good fun. You know, 8-year-old me over there watching Dallas with my parents, because it's not like I had my own TV. Now I got kids that fire up the Fire TV by themselves, and they go on to Netflix and find their kids shows to watch, and they do all that shit all on their own. When my eldest was 2.5, he would come down. He'd wake up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. He'd come downstairs, fix himself a meal, sit on the couch and eat whatever it was. One time it was a banana. At 2.5, he peeled, sliced with a child safe knife, of course, and put the banana into a bowl, took it out.
What's with the child safe knife? If you're going to give him a knife, give him a knife.
He's 2.5 at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Give him a knife.
Him getting cut.
Jesus, they gotta learn somehow or another.
He learned at Grandma's. He's come home 3 times now with sliced up fingers because Grandma gave him a regular knife, and I'm like, God damn it, Grandma.
That's what we did.
My daughter literally cut the corner of her finger off. She was down there, and I forget what she was cutting. I think she was cutting an apple or something up, and she literally cut the corner of her finger off. She's like, I think I need to go to the hospital. I said, you ain't going to the hospital for that stupid shit. Suck it up.
My dad said that one time, but it turns out I had an artery that I'd sliced. So it was good that my mom forced me to go to the hospital.
I love what Motor Ramblings put in the chat, and the answer
Party
is
line on the
yes.
telephone.
Yes, we had that.
On the telephone.
Anybody doesn't know what that is? Literally, imagine everybody was sharing the same phone conversation, and we all had to take turns.
You have to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, y'all done yet? I need to make a phone call."
We didn't have that where I grew up.
You didn't have party line?
Nope. They had individual lines when I came through.
Yeah, we all had one phone number, and when anybody called that phone number, every phone that was on that, it'd be 10 or 20 people at least, and we'd all our phones would ring at the same time.
Oh my goodness!
And whoever picked it up, whoever would pick it up, if it wasn't for you, you'd have to say, "Sorry, I'm so and so. You'll have to try to call again. Hopefully they'll answer." And you hang up, and then somebody have to call it again, and hopefully until they get the right person.
Oh, good gracious!
Yeah.
Now I remember when it was a big deal when we went from having to dial 7 digits to 10 here in Maryland, because you had to dial the area code first.
Rotary phones.
Yep.
Grew up with one. We had a rotary phone. It's really awkward when your grandma butt dials you with a rotary phone. That's a Larry the Cable Guy joke I saw on Facebook last week.
Oh.
No, dude, we had a 7-digit phone number for the longest time, and then I forget when it was, but it's got to be about 30 years ago. They had a whole flyer in the mail and stuff on TV and the radio. Got to start dialing the area code too. That's as far back as I recall.
Well, I mean, it would probably depend on how populated the area that you were in.
The DC area. Been here my whole life.
Okay, so if you're in the DC area, probably just got to the point where they ran out of numbers. And
they did.
That's why they started doing area codes.
I grew up in a 301 area code, and 301 was like all of central Maryland. And if you went to the eastern shore of Maryland, where Ocean City is and a lot of farmland, it was all 410. And then they added 240 and a couple other area codes to it as well.
Yeah, I remember the first couple times they added zip code or area codes. Of course, back in the day when you had to pay for long distance, and
yep,
it was 5 cents a minute.
Oh yeah, dude. We had my dad's college buddy owned a landscaping business, and he lived like 45 minutes or an hour away. It was a different area code,
right?
So he actually paid to have a landline put into our house that auto forwarded to his house, so he could get his phone calls, because it was before cell phones, and we could use that line to go on dial-up internet, and it wouldn't affect his incoming calls. But yeah, he had that so he could save on all the long distance charges.
Yeah.
Motor Ramblings, I remember my home phone number growing up. Yep. Still remember it. My mom disconnected it last year.
I remember all of them. Honestly.
Well, aren't you just something else? I remember all my phone numbers.
Well, we moved so many times.
That was my problem. We moved so many times and changed numbers, and
we never moved. Hell, my kids are growing up in their grandma's house where I grew up.
I still remember my first job's phone number.
No, I don't remember that one. I remember the one after that, though.
Yeah, Motor Ramblings mentions payphones, and those are such a rarity these days, which is kind of hilarious. But in the same respect, like I remember getting my first pager as a late teenager, and anybody who doesn't know what a pager is, basically it's a device. You would call the number that was assigned to the device, and it would almost send like a text message to that device, and you literally call it, and it'd be like a voicemail. And then that voicemail, you would hang up, and that voicemail would get translated into a text message that would show up on a device. And I think my mom was probably the only person that ever called me. I wasn't a very popular kid, so I didn't have girlfriends or anything like that. I didn't start dating until I was in high school. But
The only time I had beeper was for work.
Yeah, I remember a buddy had a pager in high school and college.
remember those big brick car phones they used to have back in the day?
Dude, my neighbor growing up had a '84 Chevette that he gave to his youngest daughter, and she drove it for many years. And she went to school in Southern Maryland, so he bought her a car phone, and it was the whole bag phone. It
Bag,
was
yeah.
her center. It was her center console in the car, and
Yeah.
she would plug it into the cigarette lighter to keep it charged up. But he bought it for her so she wouldn't be stranded. Yeah, I remember those. But I remember payphones because my mom would drop me and my sister off at the movie theater on a Saturday afternoon. She'd give us each $10, which would buy you a large popcorn and a large soda and a ticket. And then she would leave us there for the afternoon and go do whatever with dad. And it was so funny because when I was like 11 or 12, I wanted to see Casino in the movie theater. And I forget how old I was. I was well below 18, but I saw it in the paper because you remember you look in the paper to see when the movies are playing. And I was like, oh, Casino. Yeah, that's what I want to see. So we drive up there. Mom's right. She's parked right there on the curb in front of the box office. And I walk up and it's like, yeah, I'd like a ticket to see Casino, please. And the box office lady just starts laughing. She's like, wait, what? You're like this tall. There's no way you're 18. So I said, Mom, come here. Mom, come here. She just walks up and goes, whatever he wants to see, it's fine with me. So I go in to see Casino, and my sister saw some kids movie because she was like 5. And I come out of this 3-hour movie, and I got my quarter because Mom gave us each a quarter to call on a payphone to say, hey, I was done. And I call, and she goes, where have you been? I'm like, I've been in the movies. She's like, I picked your sister up an hour and a half. You're going to have to wait another while. Go play in the arcade for a minute. She was busy doing something else, didn't want to be bothered. So she finally came up and picked my ass up from the movies. She's like, I can't believe you're in there for 3 hours. I was like, we got home and I pulled the paper up. Look at this, Mom, 184 minutes or whatever it was. It's a 3-hour movie. She's like, whatever, go to your room. She was pissed.
Payphones.
Oh, yeah. Those were the best kind.
Those were before my time.
How were they? I remember them.
Well, you're what, 8-10 years older than I am?
How old are you?
41 ish.
No.
I was born in 81.
Okay, so you're 2 years older than I am.
I'm older than you?
Yeah.
Man, it must be the gray in the beard. It's
Well,
I'm only 25. Look at me.
I'll tell you what causes that later on.
No, I remember rotary payphones. We had a couple of them. I think the movie theater still had one.
Mm-hmm. There's make your way down to Marietta. There's a hotel down there. It's got a restaurant in it. I forget what it's called. I'll find out what it's called. I'll send you a message. But they've got one of the real old booths in there from the 20s. And they've got a bunch of old guns displayed on the walls and all that stuff. We ride down there for brunch sometimes.
Yeah, there's a place up north I want to try to get you and Jason to go to. It's this little diner, literally like a diner, and it's got the best food, like really old school. And I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I'll have to find it. Yeah, speaking of numbers, I got
to last year or the year before we went up. I think it was the year before we went up to. It was up your guys' way.
This one's even further north than me.
But they had a bunch of different weird stuff.
I want to say it's up towards Marion, Ohio, but it's not. I know it's not Marion. Gosh, what is the name of that place? But the thing is, they're not, like, at least the last I checked, they weren't open on weekends.
Motor Ramblings, if you're 56 now and retired, buddy, you did it right.
He worked for the government for 30 years. He's set. I'm gonna retire when my wife says I can retire.
Nope, I'm going to retire when I'm 58.
Nice.
I'll be retired when they bury me. That's there's no way I'll probably ever retire.
I have poorly managed my money for 30 years, so I'm not gonna make it out anytime soon.
You only need 10 years of good money management to make it through retirement.
Yeah, I don't have that in me. I'm far too impulsive.
Because I have, let me think here. 8. Yeah, I'll have 10 years once the kids are all out of high school and all that stuff. Once they graduate and are out of the house, I'll have 10 years of no debt.
My retirement plan was when I asked my wife to marry me. That's the only way I'm gonna ever retire.
Isn't your wife a nurse or something?
No, she's a government employee.
Ah. Okay, I found the place. I'll put it in the chat. They don't actually have like an actual website, but it does show up on Google. It shows some pictures. It's up in Mount Vernon, Southside Diner. Like I said, it's just a cool little place to. Is it not going to let me? No, it's too many. Gosh dang it.
Work till noon on the day of your funeral. Shit.
Yeah, 1 p.m. Put in that extra hour.
I'll be late at my funeral.
I was hoping to retire on my YouTube earnings, but it hasn't gone that way yet.
Yeah, it's not gonna. It's too many characters. I can't put it in there, but
turns out there's a really limited viewer pool for people that don't want to watch a middle-aged guy on his Harley smoking cigars, drinking coffee.
You know, a lot of the men in my family don't live much past retirement age. My dad was when he passed away in 2008. He literally was 2 or 3 days from official retirement age for him.
Wow.
That's the biggest scam there is out there. Retirement age. They say it's what, 67, and it increases every couple of years.
Yep.
By the time guys like us are ready to retire, it'll be 75.
I think it is like 72 for us right now.
No, fuck that.
Yeah, it's nuts, and you know, for me, like I look at, like I said, from family history, like I figure I got maybe 20 years. If I live past next 20 years, I'm golden. But I don't expect to. Like,
see, my dad died in his middle 50s, and Dewey rides better than never, better late than never. But he's here to harass me. Great, fuck you too. Send him a link, Travis. Let Dewey Rides join. He's the only one that's got a better beard than me.
Oh Lord.
But my dad passed away in his mid 50s. He was less than 7 days away from buying his own company, and it was one of those things where it would have set the entire family up for life, but he just barely missed it. And the only reason he didn't get checked out prior was because he was trying to get the financial paperwork, and they won't sign a loan for however many millions it was to a guy with cancer. So he held off too late. And then by the time he went to the doctor at my mom's insistence, it was like, well, you've punched your ticket. You got 3 to 6 months, and 6 months went by and he hadn't paid his bill yet. So they gave him another 6 months.
Hey, I'm going to cut off here. The wife wants to go to bed. So I will see y'all next time.
All right, appreciate it, Andy. We'll hopefully be riding here soon.
Yep, have fun.
All right, later. Yeah, I definitely, like I said, I if I make another 20 years, I figured I'm golden. Right now, if we're lucky, about another 4 or 5 more years, we'll be roughly debt free, minus the house, and then I think my son's going to take the house, and then we're talking about possibly buying and driving an RV and doing like the Tolsons and traveling around the country and maybe find a job working remotely, and
That sounds good to me.
I'll stay wherever it's warm.
Yeah, I want to move away from this hellhole that we live in,
Dude,
and it's getting worse every day.
I feel the same way. Ohio weather is so unpredictable. I want to be able to ride 8 or 10 months out of the year.
All you got to do is come out to the Maryland. We can ride. Look, I can ride on an average winter at least 10 months out of the year, if not 12, if you catch a good break in the weather. But now that you got that bike, man, you got do you have the Batwing wings on there?
Yeah. It's got it's got the little it's got the lowers, and then it's also got the little scoopy at the edge of the
the Batwing wings, and then you put a recurve windshield on it, and you get the you already have the lowers, so you can ride year round on that bike.
Yeah, that I've already figured out that probably about almost 10 to 15 degrees cooler than what I normally will ride. Isn't too bad. Obviously, having heated seat and heated grips is a huge bonus there.
Oh, absolutely. I got the heated grips this past fall, and I'm kicking myself for not doing it sooner. But I'm looking at the weather for next week, and the lows are in the upper 20s, low 30s, and the highs are 49, 50. Dude, I'm riding every day.
Yeah. The only problem here with Ohio here lately, like we get that 50, 60 degree or even warmer, and it's pouring down rain, and I won't short ride in the rain. Like, obviously, if I'm out on a trip, I understand that I'm going to possibly get in the rain. I always usually have my rain gear with me, but for a short daily ride, I won't just ride in the rain. It's like
absolutely not.
It's like putting all that stupid, Eskimo gear that I did for the right after Thanksgiving ride, the endurance ride. I hated every minute. It was too damn cold. I wasn't comfortable. Like, everything that I enjoy about riding made that unenjoyable.
See, now I'm a weirdo because when I see temperatures like 28, 30, 32, and it's been dry for a couple of days, there's no ice, I'm like, dude, this is like the perfect weather. I'm not going to sweat, and I'll look like a weirdo, so I'll be out there riding, and people will notice me because I'm like the only bike on the road, and it's like, whoa, there's a guy on a motorcycle,
He's an idiot.
I love that cold weather. It really just gets me going in the morning. I'm like, yes, it's going to be crisp. I'll see my breath in the air, and I love it. And then like 2 weeks ago, it was 80. Sweating my ass off riding home from work, and I was like, the fuck is this shit? Golly. And it drove me nuts.
My perfect riding weather is between 65 and 75 degrees. And that temperature typically is perfect. Like, all I have to do is wear a hoodie or less. Especially if it gets towards that 75, I can get away with a t-shirt. But a hoodie is all I ever really, for the most part, need, or I could wear my riding jacket if I want. But that's, for me, is the perfect temperature.
I am required by the Minister of Finance to wear helmet, gloves, long pants, jacket, and boots when I get on a motorcycle.
The jacket is the only thing that, for me, that flip-flops depending on the weather.
So let me be honest with you. I got in my last motorcycle accident in 2018, and I was wearing a polo shirt, and I slid on my back for 65 feet. What I slipped in was so slick that polo shirt was wearable afterwards. If I had something to wear over it, you'd never know it was in a motorcycle accident. It had the whole back was like this, had a black mark on it from the oil and dirt, but it didn't rip at all. And I slid for a good 65 feet. Head first, face up with a half helmet. Helmet never touched the ground. tennis shoes came off in the accident. They had nicks on the back of the ankles, and the polo shirt hit, and that was like it. And then a part of my forearm and my gloves. That was
Damn.
it. And then after that, my wife said, "So you gonna ride?" And I was like, "Well, as soon as I don't have to take a Percocet to get through the day, yes. Can I borrow your keys to your bike?" And she's like, "No, ride one of your bikes." So I rode my other bikes until I got the Vaquero out of the shop, and it was all fine. But she goes, "Look, I know you want to keep riding. I want you to be safe. I don't care what it costs. Buy the gear to be safe." So I went and bought a Joe Rocket mesh jacket, and it has been comfortable. I've ridden in that I've ridden in it from 50 to 115, and at about at about 90, 95, you start sweating pretty good, but you don't get sunburnt and you don't get overheated. So I actually really enjoy wearing my jacket in the summertime, even if I'm sweating a little bit.
That's funny because I have the textile Joe Rocket 2 or 3, and then I have the mesh version of a Joe Rocket that's all open mesh.
Yep.
And for the most part, I do like those jackets. I just can't wear the leather. Like it's too hot for me.
I don't wear leather either.
My wife just picked up a jacket at Harley when we got the credit card. When we signed up for the credit card, she bought it on the card, and yeah, like I said, when it's real hot or whatever, I don't tend to wear the jacket. But everything else, the full face helmet, the gloves, the tall boots, excuse me, and jeans.
Oh yeah.
I wish I could find a good pair of what I'd call, riding jeans that have the Kevlar in them.
Yeah.
I wish I could find a set that actually fit me. Unfortunately, I struggle even with regular jeans. Like, I'm a bit of a husky boy, so I got thick thighs, and they either don't have enough crotch or they don't have enough thighs. Or, I'm not the skinny jean kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they expect you to be shaped like this when you buy jeans.
Yeah.
And then if you're shaped like this a little bit, then they don't fit. And that's my problem too. I got the Bond winter riding pants that go underneath the jeans and have they have the armor in them for like 9 different places or whatever. Those made a huge difference. And this spring, I'm gonna call up Bond and see if I can't get a pair of their summer riding pants. And Dewey over here says has a hard time leaving in the rain. I'm with you on that one. I will ride to work if there's no water on the roads because I don't want to get the spray on me. And then when I'm coming home, if I get wet, I get wet. And then full boots. I bought Harley riding boots 3 years ago now, almost 3 years ago, and they are great because they've got grippy soles and they're full leather and everything. So I like those a lot too.
Yeah, I've got a set of what are they? I have two.
He froze up again. Dewey, you're right. Finding good, comfortable gear makes a big difference. I feel weird. Like that video I did where I was riding in shorts in November. That just felt weird. Here he goes. He's got his boots.
Yeah, so these are Skechers, I think, but they're definitely, they have the hard sides, they have the thick sole. They're not hard. They're not a steel-toed boot, but they are very comfortable. They've got the memory foam in the bottom. So these
those look good.
These are fairly nice. I enjoy those. And then my regular work boots are just your Wolverines. I occasionally use these to ride with. Now these are the composite toes. They're not the steel toes, but they have the carbon fiber toe on them.
Yeah, I had a pair of, I think they were Wolverines that I wore. I bought them to do the MSF in because I didn't own a pair of boots, and I wore them for riding for a little bit, and then I did tennis shoes for many years until in my last accident the tennis shoes came off, and I was like, "Yep, that's not going to cut it moving forward. I'm not going to get lucky like this again."
Yeah, I've thought a couple of times because they do make a tennis shoe that's a true riding shoe. You know what I mean? That's more designed for that. But I've always been a little bit leery because they do seem to be thinner than obviously a boot.
Yeah, I want the ankle protection.
Now the Wi-Fi, I spent the big bucks, and it's funny how the Wi-Fi keeps spending the big bucks at Harley, but she's got actual Harley boots.
Dude, they're awesome. Like I think I went in and I bought my half helmet and my boots at the same time, and I think the total bill was under $300 for
That's
both
not bad.
items.
That's not bad.
And the helmet doesn't make me look like a mushroom head, at least according to me. It's got the drop down visor for when I'm riding into the sun. It's comfortable. It fits my head because I got this weird shaped head to where helmets don't fit, and I tried on dozens, and I couldn't get any helmet that didn't give me like a hot spot after a half an hour. And I can wear this half helmet for all day long. But the boots are so comfortable year round. Yeah. Joey says the Bond gear looks really good. He watches my videos, and they are like that shirt. I've worn that shirt a couple of times this spring already. I say spring like it's already spring, but it's not. And I've worn those pants like every riding day for the last 3 months. It's been absolutely wonderful. You want to talk about a comfort level thing? Just those thin spandex pants with the armor in them absolutely makes riding so much more comfortable when it's 30 out.
Okay, I'll be right back. Hold on a second. My son's asking me a question.
Uh-oh. Dad, this girl wants to do X, Y, and Z. How do I handle this? Marry that woman. No, don't do that. Don't at all. I've never heard of Liat, but I've heard of Revit. Yeah, you can't justify a set. Well, once you're, like you said, once you're comfortable with a set of gear, you just stick with it until it wears out. I actually have a John Deere like snow thrower operator suit that I think I'm going to Velcro around the ankles and wear in the rain.
Yeah, I was so when I did the ride after Thanksgiving, it's the same one that Mr. McStash did. So what ultimately happened was the wife pulled the man card, called me a pussy, and it's like, she's like, because she asked me, she's like, "You going to do that ride?" Because I had it on my calendar. And I was like, nah, it's 22 degrees. I don't know if I want to really do that. And she called me a pussy. So I was like, all right, fine. I went up to Iron Pony. I got like this bib overhauls. And unfortunately, I burnt the inside and melted the leg on those overhauls. I haven't got a patch done yet. I'd really love to find a Kevlar patch, like a Kevlar jean patch. But for some reason, I can't seem to find a Kevlar jean patch.
I don't know anything about that.
Because I mean, it'd be the same. It's the same type of stuff you get in the jeans. Because that's what, if you notice, a lot of the jeans, they'll have like an extra, what almost looks like a patch, and that's got Kevlar in it. That's typically, or a form of Kevlar is what they normally use. For the resistance or whatever. So, like I said, it's something I've been looking for. I just haven't been able to find it yet.
Interesting. Yeah, before I got the Bond winter riding pants, this winter I was going to pull out my old snowmobile suit because 20-some years ago I had a 50cc scooter, and I would ride around when it was 8, 10, 12 degrees out wearing a T-shirt and like pajama pants, loose-fitting wool pants or whatever, socks, tennis shoes, full-face helmet, gloves. I had hippo hands for the scooter, and then I would wear a snowmobile suit, and I was super comfortable at those temperatures. I was actually going to pull it out for this winter, but then we had the winter that wasn't, so I never needed it.
Yeah, like I said, you must really have like skirted all the weather. I mean, I know north of us has gotten hit several times. We haven't necessarily got the snow, but we've had some bitter freaking cold. I mean, there was a good solid month where we were in the 20s and teens for almost a month solid here in Ohio.
No, late December, we had a couple of days where it didn't get over 20, and that was like it. We've had half an inch of measurable snow, and other than that, it's been rain and dry and chilly, but not absolutely bitter cold. And I see Moto Ramblings said he hit black ice. When I was on the scooter, I hit a patch of ice that was like 50 or 60 feet long and about 2-3 feet wide. And I actually tripoded it where I put my feet down on the scooter and I could feel the scooter doing this underneath of me, but I kept it upright because everything was sliding. And when I got to the next stop sign, I put my foot down and I damn near fell over because it slipped on me. I was wearing Nike ACGs, which is like a hiking boot, and the treads were filled with water that instantly froze. But other than that, yeah, ice is dangerous. I hit a patch on camera a couple of years ago, but it wasn't a huge patch. So I slid a little bit and then kept riding. It was no big deal.
Yeah, and we were talking about how rust and snow and things like that.
Hold on, stop. Dewey says hippo hands and pajama pants on a scooter. Yeah, I was not in Portland. It was the day before Valentine's Day, and a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, we're up at this bar hanging out. You want to come join us?" And I was like, "Sure, let me get on a scooter real quick." And 45 minutes later, I was there, but I was literally laying in bed watching a movie. So I was in pajamas. I literally threw the snowmobile suit on over my pajamas and then went riding. It was great. I got to the bar and I pulled the whole top half down because it's a one-piece riding suit. Pulled the whole top half down because I was sweating my balls off underneath of it. And then I was good to hang out and drink water and club soda because I wasn't drinking and riding. And yeah, it was good fun. I was not in Portland. Now, go ahead. Sorry.
It's funny because when you originally told that story, I had the Dumb and Dumber scene in my head, but you in the suit, yeah, that's what I was envisioning. It was just me.
Oh yeah,
going on the scooter.
Dude, that was me. I put 5,000 miles on that thing in a year. That's a lot of seat time at 30 miles an hour. And I got pulled over 5 times for nothing because cops didn't know what it was. They were like, "Where's your helmet? Where's your license? Where's your registration? Where's your license plate? You're not supposed to be on this road." And I was like, "Fuck off, dude." The last cop that pulled me over had a pamphlet from the county that said what the scooter laws were because it was all the new rage to buy a scooter. And he pulled me over on a road where the speed limit was 50 and it had just rained. But this road had dried off due to traffic. So I was riding that road instead of taking the little back roads because I didn't want to slip and slide. He's like, "You're not supposed to be on this road." I was like, "Really? Tell me why. I'm curious." And he pulls out this pamphlet and he's reading, "Motor scooters are not allowed on roads where the speed limit's greater than 50. I looked at him and I said, "When did they add a decimal point to the speed limit sign up the road here?" And he's like, "Speed limit
greater than."
Stop. When did 50 become greater than 50? Because I passed high school math in this county. You must not have passed high school math. At which point his face got as red as a tomato. He's pissed off. "I'm just out here to protect you." I said, "No, you're out here because you don't understand English and reading comprehension is not a strong suit. Now fuck off." And he didn't like that very much. So I kind of tried to de-escalate the situation. I said, "Well, I'll get off this road. Give me a copy of the laws." He goes, "No." I said, "Wait, so you expect me to obey laws I don't have access to? You're wrong, Mr. Motherfucker. You're absolutely wrong. Now, I think I saw the Krispy Kreme light go on. Why don't you leave me alone and go bother them?" At which point the top came off of his head and he got back in his squad car and left me alone. And I was talking to a buddy later on that day and I told him what happened. And he goes, "Wait, you were where?" "Oh, was that guy's last name XYZ?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I know that son of a bitch. He's dumber than a box of rocks." And I was like, "Yeah." Dude, it was a week later. I was sitting at the cigar shop and I had my scooter parked on the sidewalk and a cop walks up to it. And I was like, "Oh, fuck, here we go." And I walk out, "Can I help you?" He's like, "Yeah, I have questions." And he could see that I was just seething with anger. He's like, I'm just curious as to what this is. And if you're the owner, can you answer these questions for me?" And he had the same pamphlet in his hands. And I was like, "I will answer all the questions you have if you will let me copy that piece of paper." He's like, "Here you go." And he handed it to me. And I went and got a copy of it. And I put it in a cigar bag, put it under the seat where it was out of the water. And I never got pulled over again. I was so mad. But he was genuinely curious. He wanted to know all about him.
Yeah, we joked a few times with the wife about getting her a Vespa, and we even talked about and I kind of feel bad because she was talking about the possibility of wanting to ride, and she is set on Jody's her three wheels, set on her Can-Am Spider at VAM this last year, and to be honest, I was almost tempted to do it, but my plan is obviously to sell the Dyna to help pay for the bike, and then I was thinking, $3, $4, maybe $5,000, and now it's going to be more like $6,000-$7,000 that I'm going to have to, try to pay off in the next year or two, and but yeah, I mean, I've ridden everything from mopeds to four wheelers to three wheelers. Like I remember when three wheelers they were too dangerous to own and operate. Man, we used to do all kinds of stupid shit on them. And
dude, my dad's friend, the same one that had a landscaping company from an hour ago, he still has a bunch of acreage up in northern Maryland, and he's got a four-wheeler and a three-wheeler. And I got to ride them a couple of years ago. They're good fun. You just got to kind of know what you're doing so you don't flip the damn thing.
Yeah, and people talk about the whole flipping thing, and there's absolutely, you can flip one. They will also float down the creek if it's deep enough, which is a whole lot of fun. My uncle he took a piece of exhaust pipe and turned it up so it was up just above the seat. So as long as your ass wasn't wet, you just keep going, and that son of a gun would just float through the lakes and the rivers, and we had a good old time with that three wheeler. And
take care, Patrick.
Yep, have a good night. And yeah, those things were a ton of fun. And we were talking about the whole generation thing, but man, the kids these days don't realize all the stupid stuff we got to do and how much fun it was. And I remember living in one side of town, in the town we lived in, and I literally, to get to the city pool, right, to hang out with all my friends, I had to cross a 4-lane highway, go through the back roads. It was probably a 10-mile trek or more, because we lived a little bit outside of town. So I had to cross 2 4-lane highways, plus go through town and all the town traffic just to get to the city pool, because it was middle of downtown Chillicothe. And it was nothing. My mom was always like, be home before dark. Just like you said, your mom would give you some change and say, if you need to call me on the payphone.
Yeah.
And I'll come get you. But other than that, she didn't care. Don't get arrested. Don't get raped. You know what I mean? Don't you do something stupid, I'm not bailing your ass out of jail. That was my mom's answer to that. And
the stupidest thing I always did was riding my bike, trying to go too fast, and then like tapping the brakes, and the whole thing locks up and ass over tea kettle.
Oh, dude.
I tore up so many new clothes wrecking my bikes. Every year my parents bought me a new bike and a new set of clothes. It was freaking ridiculous.
I was never I literally, I had to work for my bikes, and most of the time I literally would go around and we had a couple of bike shops in the town, and I would scrounge parts out of their bins that they would throw away, frames and wheels, and I'd mix match shit together and build a bike, or upgrade my bike. And but I remember this one time, the area we lived at was like a 3-level hill, if you want to call it, or I wouldn't call it a mountain, but it was a hill. So the main road was at the bottom of the hill. The kind of middle section is where our apartment complexes were, and then they built really nice homes at the top of the hill, right? And each level was kind of totally separated, but they had like a fence, or I say fence, but they had like a forestry area between each section. And one day we went through the forest area and went up into the upper section. Now, the hill was so steep. Literally, it had like this, probably like a 20-degree downslope to this culvert, like turnaround. And this thing had like really tall curbs. Like, it wasn't your normal edge curbs. These were like 8-inch curbs. And we were up there just goofing off, playing around. Well, I was on the way home. I was coming down that 20-degree slope, just hauling balls, thinking I'm gonna hit my brakes. I'm gonna slide this thing sideways. I went to hit my brakes and the chain fell off, and it was a BMX bike.
No.
No other brakes except the rear brake. I hit that curb, flew over the handlebars, probably went at least 20 feet into a briar bush. There was a house being constructed not 50 to 100 feet away. Like, the construction guys came over to me and was like, dude, are you okay? You flew like Superman. The front wheel was all bent to hell. I mean, it was terrible, but I had scratches and bruises, and I was walking funny for 2 days. I mean, it was bad. God,
dude.
I did some stupid stuff when I was a kid.
That reminds me, where I grew up was halfway down a hill, and there was a court at the bottom of the hill, our court halfway up the hill. At the top of the hill was just another road, and you'd ride pedal hard all the way up this steep hill, and then see how fast you could go down the hill, and then there was a little bit of uphill after that. And this one time, I passed a car going downhill. I was 18-speed Huffy, top gear, booking it as hard as I could. Passed this car, went around him, get down to the bottom, was like, I'm going to make this left into this cul-de-sac. And as soon as I started slowing down, I was leaned over a little bit, hit that brake a little bit. The whole thing locked up, and the bike just absolutely wrecked. And I went flying over the handlebars, slid for 10 or 20 feet on asphalt, 10 feet of grass, and however many feet of mulch chips. And there was literally a stitch running down my entire side on my shirt and jean shorts that was holding all the clothing together. And I was all scratched up and bleeding and bruised. And both wheels on the bike, instead of being like this, they were like this. So I walked up to my house, got a skateboard, came down, put each wheel on a skateboard, and then we pushed it back up the hill to the house. It was like this huge to-do. And my mom was just freaking livid. She's like, that's your new clothes you just ruined. I was like, yeah, well, I'm not bleeding or anything. Wait, I am. They never bought me another bike after that.
Yeah.
I just had to learn how to drive a car, which was a horrible idea.
Yeah, I pretty much about 6 months after I was eligible, I got my license, and again, working on the farm, stuff like that. I saved my money, bought my first car. It was a total piece of shit. It was a Ford Escort. Turned around, sold that, and then my real dad, the one that passed away a few years ago, did help me out and gave me some money to buy the car, the first real car, which was a 88 Mazda 323.
Nice.
And, I really regret getting rid of that car. Like, it was the most basic car on the planet, but it got like 40 miles to the gallon. Like, stick shift, radio, nothing else. No power steering, no power brakes, nothing. I mean, it was a great car. It really was. And I owned that for a couple of years, then sold it, bought my first RX-7, which I still miss. I still miss those. Not the first one, but the second one. So I had my first RX-7. I bought it knowing it needed a clutch, put a clutch in it. A couple months later, I'm literally driving my mom home from the grocery store. Car won't, I went to downshift, and the car won't go in any gear. It just grinds. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I blew the clutch in this thing. I parked it, turned around, got my first real car loan, went and bought a 95 Mustang convertible, which was the slowest car I've ever owned. Still is. But it was a pussy car. Like, chicks, my mom cried my mom loved that car. Okay. And it had EQ wheels on it. It had a Pioneer stereo. It was all decked out. It was nice. I actually, the first time me and the wife dated, I had that car. And I was totally broke because it was $3,000 a year for a $7,000 car to insure for me.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't find that out until after I bought it. The insurance had lied to me. I even had given them the VIN number, and I was looking at it in like a '94 Toyota pickup truck, and pretty much the because it was low miles, so the price of it was more. So based on what they offered me, I'm like, well, I can have this Mustang for almost the same price between the car with the payment and the insurance. I'm like, I'm gonna choose the Mustang. And then after I signed the deal, I found out the insurance was wrong.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was a huge shock. I owned that car for a year. I found another RX-7 I paid cash for. It had a blowed motor in it, so I brought it home. Me and my stepdad pulled the motor out of it, swapped it into the other one. This was the time I got my first big credit card, maxed it out, ordering parts from California. $3,000, ordered shocks, brakes. We went through the whole thing. Like, this car was obnoxious. Like, I had HKS dragger style mufflers, duals like this big around. You know, in the Fast and Furious where it shot flames, mine actually shot flames. Like, a rotary engine will really do that. Backfire. It was like, whoa, 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 boom, and it just big old flame come out the ass end of it. It was obnoxiously loud. I loved every minute of it. And I owned that car for about a year and a half, and then me and the wife got together, I think, for the second or third time, and we it wasn't too long after that she ended up pregnant with our daughter. So I sold it. I'd already bought another car. It was more practical. I had a 2000 Ford Focus, and
that was my first new car.
That was my first newish car. It was only I bought it in 2003. It was a 2000. I had a ZX5 hatchback, and I'd put wheels on it, short shifter, like I'd done a bunch of stuff on it. And but I sold the RX-7. That's how we got our first apartment, and then we moved in together. And then about a year later, we at that point we had two kids. We had two kids, bought a house, got married, did all that stuff in 1 year, and and then not this coming July, but next July will be 20 years we've been married. And
wow,
most people don't make it that long.
We're going on 12 or 13 to married, but dude, my first car was I took my driver's test in my mom's '87 4-banger automatic drop top Mustang. Slowest, heaviest Mustang they ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And I drove that thing a little while, and then my grandfather gave me his '66 Plymouth Fury 3 with a Chrysler 318 in it, and it didn't run right. My dad and I limped it home. It was 2 hours north to get home, and we limped it home, and he realized that the mechanic had a stroke, which we knew he had a stroke, but he had reversed the two of the spark plug wires, which is why it wouldn't idle. So we reversed them, and we did a compression test, and 6 of the 8 cylinders were at factory PSI. The other 2 were 20 PSI higher. So the engine was strong. It was 30 years old, had 133,000 miles on it, and it ran like a scalded dog. It wouldn't top over 100, allegedly. But it was a great car. I drove it to high school and had room for me and the whole track team. It was great. Then my mom in '98, she got a '94 Mustang convertible, and she was like, here's the keys to my '87. You drive that now. And I put like 50,000 miles on it in 2 years. Drove it to college, drove it to youth group, drove it everywhere, man. It was awesome. Had the top down in the middle of winter with the snow coming down. I had the top down. Oh, it was great because look, with that car at that age, it didn't matter if you had the top up or down. If it was raining out, it was raining in. I carried a pack of napkins in case I had a passenger that wanted to keep their legs dry. And I had one young lady that was going to one of the youth group things with me, and she was wearing a dress, and she had a big wet spot right in the middle, like, whoa. But we dried it up as best we could with those napkins. And you could see the snow. The snow would fall, still snowflakes coming through the headliner, where the windshield topper meets the top. And it was so much fun to drive, dude. I drove it and drove it and drove it. And then I blew the transmission in it one day because the radiator had started leaking. So my dad and I just put bars leaks in it. And we didn't get around to putting a radiator in soon enough. So I was driving to work one day, and I'm going up this hill, and all of a sudden I hear this bang, and I'm like, oh fuck, and the car starts slowing down. I limped it into a Chevy dealership's parking lot that sloped downhill, and there's two streams running out the front of the car, one green, one brown. It turns out that the radiator on the automatic Mustang and the Fox body was not only the radiator, but a transmission cooler.
Yep.
And it got hot enough that the plastic grommets that held the trans lines into the radiator blew, and all the transmission fluid came out too. So this thing just leaked everything. It didn't shift right after we put a new radiator in it. So I went and bought a brand new car. I got a 2000 Ford Focus ZX3 automatic. It was the bee's knees. I had it for all of 6 months before I bought another Mustang.
Did you have a manual or did you have an auto?
I had the automatic.
I had the manual was so much fun.
So I had the Mustang until I totaled it, and then I bought a Cavalier. And after I totaled that, I went back to Ford and I bought a 2004 brand new. They had some guy that had ordered it but didn't show up to buy it, so they sold it out from under him to me. I bought a 2004 Ford Focus ZX4. So it had the 5-speed. It had a few extra horses. It was a sedan. It had the spoiler and all that. And I drove the piss out of that thing for a couple of years until I got my third Mustang. I actually went, I searched for like 6 months. I found a good low mileage Mustang GT convertible with the 5-speed and the leather interior. It was loaded. It had every option except the automatic. And it only had like 25,000 miles on it.
Wow.
Had never been washed. I took it home and I clay barred it, and people saw the car and were like, did you get it repainted? I was like, no, I just cleaned the paint on this thing and it's great. Except every 6 months it went in for like a 4-digit repair. And I bought it at a Toyota dealer used. So I bought the Toyota Care extended warranty, which paid for a seat track, the air conditioner, something else. Wouldn't pay for the top, so I used vinyl glue, and I had a polka dot inside of the vinyl because I'd repaired all the leaks in it. It was really funny. It would leak into the convertible top well if I had the car cover on it.
Right.
But if I didn't have a car cover on it, it wouldn't leak at all. I don't understand, but I fixed it. And then it went in. It needed a throwout bearing. Toyota Care paid for the throwout bearing, which involved all the labor to get to that bearing. So I put a new clutch in it while I was there. So I had this like stage 2 clutch in this thing, and I had a 4,500 watt stereo in it. You mentioned Pioneer earlier. I had the Pioneer DEH PRS or DRS P880 PRS, something like that. Anyway, it's been 20 years. It was like a $900 head unit that didn't have a flip out DVD screen. It was the most expensive head unit you could buy that did not have a flip out screen.
Oh, but it had all the outputs. I remember that.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was so crazy. Had the first OLED screen. You could program it if you had a special programmer. You could program the screen to play images or short GIFs. And I had that. So I had some risque images on there. And it was because like the dealer that sold me this thing like a year later, they were like, nobody's bought these things. I was like, hey, by the way, I heard about this adapter thing. They're like, here you go. Nobody's ever going to use it. So they gave it to me. Wow. And I took it home. It plugged in. It had an RS-232 connector to plug into your computer, and you could download images to it. It was great. So I used that, and I had that with a 1,000 watt RMS one-channel amp for the subs that was running 2 JL Audio 10W3 V2s, and I had a 4-channel Alpine 750 watt RMS amp that was running Boston Acoustic SX60s on all 4 corners.
Did you have as much in the radio as you did the car?
The radio was like $4,000, I think.
Yeah, I was
it was like
$1
per watt. You could. Here's how well it worked. You could turn it to 61 out of 62 on the volume level, walk a block down in downtown Bethesda, Maryland, where it's busy city traffic. You could hear that car stereo as clear as if you were standing next to the car, but it didn't rattle anything. I dynamated the license plate. I dynamated the underside of the trunk lid, and that was it. It had everything going on. I mean, it was one of those things where it had an automatic equalizer. It had dual 16-band graphic EQs, but it came with a microphone that plugged into the front of the head unit
Mm-hmm.
that you could then clip to the driver's headrest, close the windows, doors, and roof, and walk away for 10 minutes and come back. And it played white and pink noise, figured out the acoustics of the car, and changed the EQ to match the car. It was absolutely phenomenal, and it just absolutely just cranked. And I still regret getting rid of that car. And the only reason I got rid of it was because the warranty was running out. The Toyota dealer had lied. I put in the paperwork, said 5 years on the warranty. After 2.5, they said it was only a 3-year warranty. I was like, fuck, I can't afford to keep replacing parts on this thing. So I traded it in while it was still on the lift at the trans shop, getting a trans rebuild because 3 of the 4 main bearings had gone.
They were
And I
kind
traded
of
it
bad
in
for
on a
that.
Lincoln MKS. And I never should have done it. That car was absolutely ridiculous. I had the stereo in it. I had tinted the windows. I had like 18-inch wheels on it that were the same color as the car. It was pristine. It was just awesome. And it only had like 43K on it.
Yeah, the Mustang I had, the Nikki wheels that were on it. I saw them one time in a car mag, and I was told in that car mag that they only made them in 2 sizes, and they only made like 15 or 1800 of sets for the entire world. Like that was a pretty rare set, and they were 17s. It was a pretty rare set of wheels that was on it. I sold it to some lesbians, a couple of lesbians, which they were happy as can be. I mean, obviously, like I said, it was a nice car. I mean, it was a beautiful red. It had it didn't have the leather interior. It was the V6 automatic, which made it. That's why I said it was the slowest car I've ever owned.
Still faster than the 4-banger automatic.
But I mean, for the most part, like I remember, like I said, I grew up having some fun cars, and I had lots of friends that had Camaros and Trans Ams and lifted pickup trucks, and we used to go 4-wheeling back in the day. And you know, I like I said, I rode dirt bikes, 4-wheelers, 3-wheelers, ATVs. You know, the early ones. You remember the 6-wheeled track ones?
No, we never had any of those.
Never had any
I
of
lived
those.
more in the city, so we didn't have. We had to go down the farm to get any kind of off-road stuff.
Mm. Yeah, I mean we freaking, you know, I was. It was so funny when I did go get my license. It was, I was doing the driver's ed because I had to, because at that point it was required if you were under 18, and the chick that was teaching us was the daughter of the owner of the company, and she had like 2 or 3 daughters, but she was pretty hot. And she drove, like, it was just me and her, and we went to her house, and she invited me in her house, and like her 2 hot daughters are sitting there, and when I mean hot, they were hot. And I'm like,
Okay.
yeah. They were 15 going on 30, like.
Yeah, they had rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah. They had back problems.
Yeah, dude, that's what my neighbor said to me when I was 15, 16 about the girlfriend I had at the time. He's like, "Your girlfriend's got rheumatoid arthritis, doesn't she?" I was like, "No, she's like 15, dude. He's 16. He's like, no, like this." And I was like, "Oh yeah." She was, dude, and I met her in driver's ed. She met me in the first week of driver's ed, and I think she only went there to pick up dudes because we were in that class, and I had this girlfriend I was dating, and anyway, I dated her for like a week or whatever. You know, it's high school.
Right.
And the first week of driver's ed was the week I was dating this other chick, and came back the following Monday, and this girl was like, "So, how was your date with your girlfriend over the weekend?" And I was like, yeah. We actually broke up this evening. She goes, "Great, you're going with me to fucking homecoming." And I was like, "All right, I guess I'm going with you to homecoming." Okay. Dude, I dated that chick for like 4 years off and on. It was great. And oh yeah, absolutely. Well, she never did get her driver's license. It was post college before she got her driver's license and she got a car. And then every time we went anywhere, she's tossed me the keys. Here, you drive. I was like, all right. Oh yeah, dude, I had a ton of fun because it was her and her 3 girlfriends every weekend, Friday and Saturday night for like 4 years. Fucking great.
Yeah, and I remember, man, like I said, living out in the country, we had big old kegger party. Like I remember there was another Travis, and it was kind of rare. You know, Travis is not a super common name, but there was 2 of us in the same high school, and he was older than I was, but he would throw like 7 keg parties, and that's what he provided. And I remember I also hung around with the sheriff's son, who was also buddies with all of us, so we got away with a lot of shit. I won't lie.
Oh yeah.
hanging out with the sheriff's son, you got away with shit. And I remember we at one of the last parties we had, he's like a couple of the sheriff guys showed up, and obviously they knew who we were, they knew who was there, and he knew that the sheriff's son was there, and they're like, guys, he's like, we don't want to, you got to be quiet, you got to calm down a little bit, you got neighbors that are having a fit. And he's like, but we're not taking y'all to jail, we all know who you are. Like, just don't drive, don't do something stupid.
Oh yeah.
And we didn't have too many of those big parties after that, just because, like I said, we were in the moments. Honestly, I don't even know what neighbors were bitching, because we were in the middle of freaking nowhere in a cornfield.
We had the same problem.
Like,
I hung out with the firefighters, and they had friends that were cops, and they'd have these bonfires where they were like burning, old windows out of old Metro cars from the DC Metro. And if you've ever burned one of those, they burn hotter than blazes, right? We emptied this guy's basement out into the burn pit one night. Like anything combustible left his basement, including the couch, and went into the bonfire. And I mean, at one point in the middle of the night, there was at least a dozen pagers that went off. And we had a police radio scanner and all that. And you could hear the call go out. There's a fire, blah, 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 blah. And like, everybody's pagers all went off at once, and it was all for this freaking bonfire we were having. And the cops are like, who's going to respond? We're all here. I was like, dude, this is great. I love it.
Like 2 out of 12. This is a controlled situation. We're already aware. Thank you.
Yeah, I think one of them walked away from the noise and actually did just that. They were like, don't send the engine. We're good. We're over at Steve's house, or I changed the name to protect the innocent.
Right.
But yeah, we're over at Steve's house. It's all good. We got fire extinguishers handy. We're all good. There wasn't even a hose in sight, man. But it was a burn pit like the size of my porch here. It was freaking great. Like we all sat on aluminum chairs, and we were like 10 feet away.
Oh yeah.
And then we were 20 feet away, and then we were 30 feet away, and then it was too dark to see. Oh yeah, we had the same thing. After my wife and I got married, we went to a friend's house, and he had a bunch of friends that were fire and police. And he was lighting off fireworks. And he had a field next door. And actually, the guy that owned the local Harley dealer, and he had battles with the motor company because he also sold BMW and Ducati. And he got out of the business about 10 years ago. But prior to this, he was the owner. And I mean, this guy was making money hand over fist. He had all the cool toys. And he'd come over and bring fireworks and stuff. And we're setting off fireworks left, right. It's a rainy October. And shoo, shoo, shoo. And there's it's raining. So we got canopies, right? Well, we're all standing under the canopy about 15 feet from the fire pit, and they take the leftovers from the fireworks, toss them in the fire pit. You can guess what happened next. The unspent shells went off,
hit the deck
through the canopy, right past us. It was good fun. They never called the fire department. It was good times. I enjoyed the hell out of that. Yeah. Now I have kids, and none of that fun stuff can happen anymore.
Last couple of years we've been setting fireworks off in the backyard, and last year's set, like they keep getting bigger, and they've gotten to the point now where it's like maybe we need to find another place to set these things off. like I got this big ass tree in the backyard. I got a big ass tree in the front yard. Like I live in a suburb, you know, my neighbors are 20 feet away, you know.
Yeah,
And
they got to be in on it, or else you're getting somebody called on you.
thankfully, most of my neighborhood, they pretty much on like 4th of July, they ignore those calls unless they say, "Hey, somebody's house is actually on fire." They don't show up. You know, and I took all as much precautions as I could. Like I wet down the house. I made sure the grass was wet. I made sure the neighbor's grass was wet. Like I made sure, you know, we took relative precaution, but we were still probably within 15 feet of these things going off, and we set off probably like $500 or $600 worth of fireworks, and
Nice.
I had them all linked, so they went off in session, you know, in series, and God, it was my niece's little kids, man, they loved it. They were having the time of their lives. They thought it was the greatest thing ever. And I know that when they get old enough to be my age, that they will never be able to do that. Like I know that.
Oh no.
I know
Dude,
that's an experience they will never be able to have with their kids.
My kids will never have that except at their grandparents' house. My in-laws, they've got property up in Pennsylvania, and we get this table out of the garage. We bring it out and we put the back legs on bricks so it angles it slightly forward, and then we shoot off mortars and all sorts of crazy stuff. And I don't know if it was last year or the year before. My kids are out there like, we want to shoot them off too. So we got little earplugs, and we put the earplugs in the kids. The little one had earmuffs on, and I gave him, I got the stick lighters like this,
right?
And we had them over there lighting the fireworks off, and they had a blast. And 10 years from now, you won't be able to get any of that stuff.
Yeah, it was surprising they made it legal in Ohio, because before you could buy it in Ohio, but you couldn't set them off in Ohio, you know. Then they finally made it legal.
Pennsylvania's the same way. It's like they've got the one little tiny corner of the fireworks shop. It's like, this is all Pennsylvania legal. And then 95% of the shop is, here's what you can't have unless you have an out-of-state driver's license. So somebody else other than me, because I don't break laws like that, would go in there with their out-of-state license. I've actually, that's the truthful. I stay back at the house, and they show up with the fireworks later. And they'll bring all the mortars and fun stuff with the out-of-state licenses.
Yeah, all we ever had to do was sign and say. At one point, they actually made you say where you were taking them to. We did make some something up in some of, we didn't care. But for the most part, all we did was sign a paperwork that said we wouldn't set them off in Ohio. And
it's like when my dad used to fix all our cars at the house. He had a side hustle fixing everybody else's cars, and he'd have all his friends' cars and their friends' cars coming through our driveway for him to do brake jobs and oil changes and all that on. And he was like, I need to lower my costs. So I think he created either an LLC or he faked it with just a bank account. But he had checks with this automotive company name on them, and that was enough that he'd go into a dealer or whatever, and they'd give him the insider discount.
Yep.
Because they were selling to another shop. And it was so funny because when I would show up as an adult, even after he passed away, they'd look at my address, and the guys had been around long enough because the people used to stay in a business long enough. They're like, "Oh, you're associated with such and such automotive," and I was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." And they'd give me the insider discount too. Yeah.
Yep.
Good times.
I've been the recipient of some of those discounts before. The right person.
Oh, dude. The funniest part was my dad. He named me. I'm a junior, so when I went to get my first car, everybody else was paying 8%, 9%, 10%, and I bought a brand new car at 4%. And they were like, "How did you do that?" And I was like, "I don't know. They did a credit check and it came back good, I guess." And they're like, "Dude, I need a cosigner to buy a stick of gum." And here I am with the cheap car loan. Well, when my dad went to buy the business, like I was saying earlier, they were like, "John, you have a Ford Focus on here." And he's like, "You idiots, that's my kid's car." So apparently they had crossed wires somewhere in the banking, and they gave me my dad's credit and put my car on his credit. So I inherited his good credit.
Yeah.
and I've kept it up since then. Like when I went to buy one of my trucks, they looked at me and they looked at my wife and they were like, I've never seen a credit score this high. And I think it's because I don't have 20 years of good payments. I've got 40 or 50 years because I have my dad's credit in there. All this credit history of buying houses and cars and everything else, it all just never missed a payment. Wow. All right. Yeah, you've got an 850 or whatever. I think the highest you could get was an 800, and I had an 837 or something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, I think I've had 780. I've been in the 780s before, but that's about. I normally am somewhere between 7 and 750 most of the time. I never seem to get much out of that.
Which is top tier credit. And I don't know what 800 and something gets you, but when my wife and I go to buy
800 gives you the absolute, like, you know, when you talk about when you see those advertisements, hey, get 2.1% or 2% or 1.99%, you have to have that 800 credit to get that. I always get the next best one.
Oh no, dude! I always get the top tier. I bought a 2010. Was it? Yeah, it was a 2010 Maxima. I bought in March of 2010, and you know you can only, if you buy a new car, you can finance up to 120% of the MSRP, and the MSRP on this car was like right at 40 grand. So 120% is 48. They financed 48, and I had to come up with like $300 because I rolled $13,000 of negative equity into this car. Because I was doing everything I could to get out from under that Lincoln that I bought. Because 5,000 miles in, it started squealing when you hit the brakes. So I take it to the dealer. I'm like, new car, fix this, you know? And they would give me their loaner for a couple of days, replace the brakes, and
or tell you there's
500
nothing
miles
wrong.
later. What's that?
Or tell you there's nothing wrong. Those ones had horrible problems.
No, you know what? They never told me there was nothing wrong, but they did replace the pads and rotors like 7 or 8 times in the next 3 months. It spent 17, 18 days at the dealer. It was bad enough that they'd given me the same Lincoln MKZ to keep driving as a loaner car, and I lost him. Is he back?
Yeah.
They gave me the same loaner MKZ to drive, and I turned to the service writer one day and I was like, look, you know, this is really becoming a problem because I like to smoke cigars as a stress reliever while I drive. And I can't smoke a cigar in your car. And he looked at me and he deadpan said, why not? And I was like, because that's the rules. It's in the paperwork. And he goes, I will keep that car aside from you or aside for you. And if I need to clean it for someone else, I will. Go ahead and light up. So before I even leave their parking lot, I used to light a cigar in it and keep driving. But I had to get out from under that car. I was like, dude, I can't take the stress of this, and it's giving me all sorts of other issues. And I just turned around and was like, fuck it, and I got the Maxima. I was actually like in Pittsburgh for a funeral with my then girlfriend, now wife, in this Lincoln that's sliding across the road because the brakes don't work. And I'm like, I can't do this. So while I was up there at the funeral, her aunt got really pissed off at me. I was like trying to work a car deal while going to a funeral. And I'm stepping away because I got 3 dealers all fighting for my business. We got back Sunday night. Monday, I took off midday and I went and bought a new car. And I showed up to pick her up for our date. And I was like, new car? And she's like, when the hell did that happen? I was like, did you not see me at your grandfather's funeral? Like, I was working a car deal. I got 12 grand off because they had to roll in so much negative equity, you know? Oh, yeah. And then 2 days later, the sunroof died. And I was back at the same dealer like, the fuck is this? I just bought a new car to get rid of the problems of the old new car. What the hell? And they overnighted a sunroof motor from Japan to fix that car.
Wow.
Yeah, they gave me a Nissan, I want to say it was a Sentra for 2 days. And I was like, fuck, this thing sucks. I want my Mac Daddy Maxima back. Because it wasn't just like the base model Maxima. It was fully loaded.
So
there was not an option I left off on it.
So big V6.
Yep.
5-6 speed automatic. Like it had all the goodies.
It had a CVT in it.
Oh, it was. Oh man, that's when they started to suck. Was the CVT?
So here's the thing, the CVT. So Nissan is the king of CVTs, right? They were the first ones in the automotive world to figure out how to make a CVT work with a high horsepower, high torque engine. Up until that point, they were all epic failures. The CVT in the Maxima was solid. It had a fake mode where it would approximate 6 gear changes or 5 gear changes to make 6 gears, but it had the CVT. It was awesome because you could romp on it and just stay on it. It would just solidly accelerate. There was never any loss of torque. If you pushed through the detent in the gas pedal, in the eighth, I think it's the 8th generation, no, 6th generation, whatever, 2009 to like 2014 Maxima, if you push the gas pedal all the way down, you only got up to 5,400 RPMs, I want to say, and you only got about 85% of your power. If you pushed through that, you got 100% power. It went all the way to 6,000 RPMs, and that some bitch would tram line down the road like you wouldn't believe. But it would hook up and stay hooked up all the way to the speed limit. And there's a woman at work that still drives one. And 3 years ago or 4 years ago now, she bought one. And I saw her in the parking lot. I was like, hey, I don't know you, but I see you got this new Maxima with temp tags. And she's like, oh, yeah, it's a couple years old. I said, great. Next time you're on the highway, push the gas pedal all the way down when you have an open stretch, and then push it down further. It'll go faster. She's like, ooh, I like that. 3 days later, I run into her out by her car, and she's like, I want to hug you. I don't know who you are, but that opened up a new world of horsepower. I love it. And to this day, she works in my office, and she comes by, and she goes, John, that was the best thing I ever heard about a car. Yeah, that Maxima, dude, that sleek Maxima, it looked good, and it drove like a bat out of hell when you wanted it to.
Yeah, people drove them into the ground, though. That's the problem.
They didn't do their maintenance on them.
Yeah, they didn't do the maintenance on them. We've had 2 CVTs. One was a Dodge Caliber, which wasn't horrible, but it was one of the later generations, not the early ones that had a lot of problems. It wasn't bad, but it definitely still had the problem of, you get really, like, there was this magic place where you could get to that would give you good acceleration, but if you got past that point, then it would get like super, typical CVT stuff where it just wouldn't go faster.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the problem with any of the small engines on the highway, is they gear them so low that once you hit highway speed, they run out of balls.
Yeah.
Especially with the turbos.
I'll be honest, I always kind of wanted to get my hands on the Dodge Caliber SRT4.
Oh, dude, that's a sweetheart.
I tried to get my fingers on one, and by the time the price came down to something I actually wanted or could afford at the time, they were all pretty much ratted out at that point. People had done stupid shit to them, and I really wanted one of those Dodge Caliber SRT4s. The other one we bought a 27. It's actually the car my daughter drives. It's 2017 Mitsubishi Lancer. My wife, I would, don't get me wrong, I would love to have an Evo. Like, Evo was always kind of on the bucket list of cars I would love to own.
That or a WRX.
Actually, I'm driving a 2018 Hyundai Elantra Sport, and when I bought that, I actually looked at a WRX, and it was one of those situations we stopped at the dealer, and the guy just hands us the keys and said, "Hey, come back when you're done." Didn't ride with us at all, and I was like, cool. So I take it out, and we get to go on the highway, and I start romping on it. And man, this thing just pulls like a freight train.
Oh,
and
yeah.
My wife looks over to me. She's like, "You like this car, don't you?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "But I can't own it." And she's like, "Why?" I said, "Because I can't trust to ever hand the keys to one of the children, because they were both about to start driving at that point." And I'm like, I can't have a car that I can't trust to hand the kids and not kill themselves in. They will kill themselves in this car.
Yeah, no kidding.
I would probably have gotten a speeding ticket in that car, let me tell you. Still kind of wish I had bought it, though. to be honest. The kids, my daughter has driven my car, and she knows just enough to drive a stick, and I taught her well enough just to, she can drive if she needs to. But here about a month ago, she had stopped by the house, and then they had noticed that apparently she got a big bolt in her tire, and it was flat. So I was like, and this was the point where she had just sort of moved out of the house. And I was like, well, just take my car. It was the weekend, bring it back on Monday. Take your car with the donut on it and take it up the street and see if you can get the tire fixed or replaced or whatever. And I was like, so she had my car for the entire weekend. And let me tell you, it came back with no gas in it.
I have no doubt.
And for anybody doesn't know, that the Hyundai Elantra Sport has the Veloster turbo motor, and I do have a manual. It is a 6-speed manual transmission, and it's not the fastest car in the world, but it's got great torque. Mm-hmm. Like it pulls in, it reaches maximum torque of 1,500 RPMs. It pulls in any gear at any time. Like you have to really be dogged to get it to lug. I mean, it pulls, and you can, don't get me wrong. I literally took it to a drag strip, and I was within 1/10 of what Road and Track did with that same car.
Nice.
Which was, I did 15.2. They did 15.1 at almost the same. It's like 92, 93 miles an hour, something like that. So it obviously was right in the ballpark. Like I said, it's not super fast car, but it'll get, and there are performance parts for it. Yeah, and there are performance parts for it. Right now it's still under warranty, so I haven't really done anything, and I don't know if I will or not. I only got a few more years to pay on it, and then it's one of the few loans that'll get paid off here in the next few years as part of the 5-year plan. And but like I said, it's a fun car. I'm not disappointed in that purchase. I do. Like I said, though, I think back to that WRX, and especially with the prices that are going on with those cars now. I mean, you can't touch one for less than 30. I was looking at 24, 25, I think, when I was looking at it, brand new.
Yeah. And now they're 40.
Yeah, now they're like, you can't touch one for less than 32.
Yeah. Back when the WRX first came out, Subaru had a problem because it took, I think it was 3,500 miles for the turbo to break in on the WRX engine. So every dealer got one demo car, and if you went in there and you wanted to demo their WRX, if it wasn't free, you had to wait. So I did, and I drove their WRX. I was like, this is a lot of fun, but I didn't end up buying it. And I probably should have, because it was a lot of fun. I took out a Legacy V6 with a 6-speed manual or 5-speed manual in it. And it dumped the clutch on that thing, man. It would scoot. I used to test drive new cars every Saturday and Sunday. I go find an open dealer and test drive a new one. There was one time they had a fully loaded Nissan Xterra in bright yellow with a manual. I think it was a 5-speed manual.
I remember that.
And it had the V6 and it had the 4-wheel drive. It was still dripping water. They just washed it, sitting up on its own platform outside the dealer. And I said, I want to drive that one. So they gave me the keys and let me go by myself. It had rained the day prior, and I knew a field nearby. And I went and parked it in the middle of this 30 by 30 mud hole. And I said, I wonder if I can get it stuck. So I found out how to put it in 4-wheel low. And then I literally dumped the clutch and spun the wheel sideways. And this thing had mud up the doors, on the roof, front and back glass. Everything was coated. It was a brown truck at this point. And I brought it back and I backed it up onto their platform right where it was, except it's no longer dripping water. It's dripping mud.
Ooh.
Sales guy comes out and he goes, I guess you enjoyed your test drive. I was like, yeah, where'd I park my Mustang? I just walked off the lot. He was so pissed. I was like, that was fun, but I couldn't afford the insurance on it.
In the town I lived in, there wasn't a whole lot of them, but the town I lived in, the guy that owned the stereo shop had one, and of course he had speakers and shit in it. And Yeah, I remember those. Those were pretty not. Those were pretty nice. But you're right. They were kind of expensive.
Yeah,
for what they were.
They were hugely expensive for a 20-something single guy to insure.
Yeah.
Like I pretty much stopped buying cars when I bought my first truck. I got a 2011 F-150 Lariat, and I had paid off enough on the Maxima to the point where this Lariat was affordable-ish. It was the same payment as the Maxima. And I went to one dealer with my then girlfriend, now wife, and I was like, or no, I think we were married at the time, and the Eagles were playing, and I was watching the game, and I was trying to negotiate with the guy after our test drive, and he came back and he goes, "Here's our number," and he handed me a slip of paper, and I was like, "You're $4,000 high, no thanks," and we got up and walked out. And the following Friday, I was at the cigar shop, and I was looking on a dealer's website like an hour away, and they had the truck. It was in transport on the way to the dealer, and it was the truck I wanted. Extended cab, Lariat, all the bells and whistles, yada, yada. And I sent them an email, and within an hour and a half, I'd worked the deal. They were like, "Yeah, we'll meet your number. Wait, you have the Carfax? Awesome. We'll take your Carfax. We'll do that." Because the guy at the first dealer was like, "Go to the Carfax, prove us wrong." And I went to Carfax. They matched the number I was asking. And he was like, "We'll meet you halfway." And I said, "Look, you've now wasted 5 hours of my time. You're not going to just meet me halfway. You're going to match it or beat it. Okay? No, thank you." So this other dealer matched it. I went on a Wednesday afternoon. I went and picked up the truck, drove it home. And a week later, I'm sitting at home. I got a phone call from the sales manager at the first dealer. And they're like, "Sir, I understand we lost your business over a few $100s. And I was like, "Try $3,500, lady." "Oh, well, that's impossible. We never miss deals by that." And I said, "Tell it to the truck in my driveway." And she hung up on me. It was 4 years later, and I was working as a buyer's broker for a friend of mine because I had a bunch of friends that wanted to buy cars, didn't like dealers. They would pay me to work out the deal. They'd tell me a make and a model and options, and I would find them the best deal and negotiate for them. It was a lot of fun for me, and I didn't have to buy a car, which saved me money. So I call up this one dealer. I sent this one dealer an email, and it was to one of their sister dealerships under the same umbrella an hour away. And it got rerouted to that local dealer. And they called me and were like, 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, this guy's yelling in my ear, "You're just some motherfucker that wants to get us for information and then buy somewhere else. Fuck you," and blah, 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 blah. I was so incensed by that I turned around and I called their sales manager, who I'd had conversations with in the past. And I was like, "Look, not for nothing, but 10 o'clock on a Sunday, you don't have your motherfucking people calling me, yelling in my ear about this." Turns out that guy got fired that day. They were like, "We don't stand for this." And they earned the deal. The lady on the phone was like, "What do I have to do to earn your deal then?" I was like, "Look, I work as a buyer's broker. If you have the best deal, not counting any other options, no extended warranties or other bullshit, if you have the best deal for the vehicle, you will earn my client's business." She goes, "Great. I'll see you at 3 o'clock. Here's my number." And I was like, "That is the best number. I will see you at 3. And I texted my buddy. I was like, 3 o'clock, here's an address. Show up ready to buy a car. And he still has it.
Yeah. I've almost, the last few cars we bought have been new. But, even the bike, I mean, it's one of the reasons why, I'm riding a 2011 and not a brand new bike because I can't afford a brand new bike. I'm not crazy about the payment on the 2011, but
come on, what is it, like $300 a month?
Yeah, it's in that ballpark. My car payment that I bought brand new is $300 a month.
Boy, you don't want to hear what my truck payment was.
My wife's is about $450 for her.
What, for my truck?
For her, no, my wife's SUV.
What is she driving?
2020 Kia Sportage loaded.
Yeah. Now double that, and you got my truck payment.
Yeah, I was gonna say, depending on what model, it probably was twice that.
It's a Ram 1500 Limited that I bought brand new, and it had everything but the Ram boxes, the storage containers in the bed sides.
Yeah,
that was the only option I didn't get on that truck.
Well, you had
that and like, I don't know, floor mats or something.
There was a couple of I think to get that you had to have the work truck version, right? was like a
Nope, you could get them on the limited. There's a
really?
guy at work that's got a limited with the split tailgate and the ram boxes. His
Hmm.
payload's like 1,100 pounds. Mine is pathetic at 1,320.
What's the towing capacity on your truck?
I want to say it's like 11.5. It'll
That's
tow. It'll tow a house. You
right.
just can't put the house in the bed.
Well, you saw that guy with the Dodge Dually that snapped a frame in half. I mean,
Yeah, he put too much weight behind the rear axle.
well, not only that, because he had the four wheel drive and the diesel, um, it actually had less capacity than what he thought it did.
Oh yeah, but you know what? There's a fix for that. It's called look at the door jam sticker before you buy the fucking truck.
That very true.
I
Um,
look at I look at people's door jams. Like there's a guy that bought a 2023 F-150 XLT, $67,000. It has the Power Boost V6, so it's got the turbo V6 with the hybrid stuff on it,
mm,
and it's got this, that, and the other thing. But it still has cloth seats, and it was damn near 70 grand. And I was like, you got to be shitting me, dude.
no, they
But his payload was only 1,500 pounds.
yeah. Some of these newer trucks, man, they're like 80,000 is kind of the minimum for
Yeah.
some of these full size trucks. Um, I know one guy that spent 120 grand on a loaded dually diesel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there's well, I don't know what the one guy I work with. He's got the Ram Eco Diesel one.
Yeah.
Um, he actually allegedly put the delete kit on it, and he says it gets better fuel mileage than it did.
Absolutely. 10 to 20% easy.
Yeah,
Yeah, the DEF fluid, that shit just eats up your gas mileage. All that EGR and stuff, it just tears your fuel economy down to the shitter.
yeah,
Where
it's
mine is. My truck's I've got the 5.7 Hemi with the e-torque, so it's got the hybrid motor battery thing, and it stops at stoplights and gets 15 miles per gallon.
my
And I drive
son's.
I drive 60 miles round trip to work. Do the
Ugh,
math.
ouch.
Except I only go in a few days a week, and I take the Harley as much as possible.
I bet.
So
Uh,
even still, I'm dropping I think 200 a month in gas because I put mid grade in it.
yeah, my Elantra Turbo. I found out we've got a lot of Sheets stations that are popping up around
Oh
Ohio,
yeah,
and most of them sell the non-ethanol fuel. And oh my god, my car, like I first ran it when we went down to Georgia, and my car runs so much better on non-ethanol fuel.
sure it does.
But you think that the car, would be tuned obviously for the 10% ethanol, but man, put in the non-ethanol, it starts better, it runs better. I can it revs fast, like it legitimately revs faster.
So there's so many reasons for that, but the top two or three is there's more BTUs in a gallon of gas than there is in a gallon of ethanol.
Right. It's
So
33%.
yeah, so you can generate more power with regular gas than you can with ethanol, and they tune the engines to run on E10 or E15, but they run even better with the ethanol free. It's a government clusterfuck that the subsidies cause all the corn to go into ethanol instead of on your table. And it's such a travesty because it's not doing anything to protect the environment. It's not doing anything because not only do you have to burn more to go the same distance with the ethanol gas, but all the extra farming that could be done for other crops so that you can feed your family cheaper goes into this corn bullshit that then gets turned into ethanol, which costs more, by the way. It's only through government subsidies that it's economical to grow. And then you have all the fuel systems that get eaten up over time from the ethanol because it burns hotter.
Yeah, the fuel system thing is not as bad of a thing as it used to be. When
It
obviously they
still is in lawn equipment
lawn
and
equipment, yeah,
farming
right?
equipment.
Yes, and definitely in those situations. But yeah, I even run it. I even run it my bike. I mean, I know you're supposed to run 91, but I even run the yeah, because it's like 90 octane or something, non-ethanol. And like I said, I really like the non-ethanol fuel. I remember when the E10 really became a thing here in Ohio, and I remember going from 38 to 40 miles to the gallon to like 35 miles to the gallon. Like,
Oh yeah,
and that's in
absolutely.
that Mazda 323 that I was talking about earlier. Circling back to that, it was that car I was driving. And I also remember the last time fuel was under 99 cents a gallon. I was starting to drive that last time that it dropped below 99 cents.
My Fury 3, you
Was
could fill a 20-gallon gas tank with 20 gallons for $20.
Yeah, I used to 20 to 30 bucks would be in my wallet, and that's all. I could go 2 weeks on that for gas.
Yep. Oh,
And
dude, it was funny that Maxima I mentioned earlier. There were two gas stations on either side of a road, and I used to go to one, and I would get 20 miles to the gallon. One time, the other place was 10 cents cheaper per gallon or something, so I went over to the Mobile One. My gas mileage dropped to 16. I was like, that's got to be a fluke. I drove hard, whatever. I went back, 16 on the second tank. So the third tank, I went back to the first gas station, back up to 20 immediately. All the additives and the stupid bullshit and everything else, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
did you ever, when you owned your Focus, do you remember what you got fuel mileage?
It was which Focus? The regular 2 liter
I
or the
was
2.3?
the 2 liter.
I want to say it was like 27, 28.
So here's the weird thing about that Focus, and this is one thing that never I to this day I can't reconcile. If I ran straight highway, I could get 32, 34 miles a gallon.
Okay.
But in my daily driving, didn't matter if I drove the piss out of it, if my foot to the floor, or if I was trying to hypermile it. 26 to 28 miles to the gallon. Period. That's all I ever got in it. Like if I was straight highway, nonstop,
Yeah.
I could get 32-ish miles to the gallon. Other than that, 26, 28. That's it. That's all I ever got in it.
Interesting. I never drove mine all highway. The ZX4 that I had, which I think had a 2.3 liter, that thing got about 25, and I would drive that on the highway.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was so weird, and I was a member of several forums, and it seemed I had a very early one. Like if you look at the date code, mine was a really early model. Mine ultimately didn't having that fuel pump issue, which we didn't find out till way late. Like basically when the fuel pump went out and I went hunting for one, then I found out yeah, there was a recall on the pump, but you only had 10 years to do it, and of course it was past the 10-year mark. I never got a notice saying that, hey, get this fuel pump replaced, which made it really pain in the ass trying to find one. Because all the problems I was having was exactly what the recall said it was doing, which was starving at a fuel. It basically, depending on how you were driving, if you turned left or right too hard, it would basically just die. Now, don't get me wrong, mine had quite a few miles. And here's the thing about that Ford Focus. So I owned it. I bought it with about 30,000 miles. I owned it. I don't remember when I sold it to my parents, but I sold it to my parents. They drove the piss out of it. I bought it back. By the time I sold it, it had 170,000 miles on it.
Wow.
Original clutch, original starter. The only reason I changed the alternator because the wire that went from the alternator to the starter to the battery had corroded. And I actually, rockauto.com was the only place that still carried the original replacement cable, because this was a special one that had a sensor built into it too. So I could have, and ultimately what I was going to do was make a stereotype cable and create my own. But I found one for like $60. I'm like, I'll just buy the original one and replace the whole thing. Well, when I went to undo the nut on the starter, it snapped right off. Like I said, never been out.
Yeah.
I never put an axle in it, never put a clutch in it, never put a starter in it, never put an alternator in it. It was battery, brakes. It was bad about wheel bearings. You were on a schedule for wheel bearings. You had to replace them every so many thousand miles. I want to say it was like 40,000 that you had to replace the rear wheel bearings, which weren't a big deal because you pretty much got them if you bought the kit for the drums. But yeah, I mean, I replaced the exhaust once. But yeah, it was a pretty good car, to be honest. But it was, by the time I got rid of it, the rust had gotten to it, and then literally I went to jack it up one day and like it literally crunched at the jack point. Yeah. So I was like, it's time to get rid of this car. And
see, I only had like 13,000 miles on the 2000 ZX3 in 6 months when I traded it in. And then I had 27,000 when I traded the 04 in on the 04 Mustang convertible. So I never put it, honestly, I've never put more than 40 or 50K on a vehicle. Like my mom's 98 or 87 Mustang, that one I put 50K on because I got it with 80 and it had 130 on it when I traded it in on the Focus.
Yeah, we put over 100,000 miles on the Dodge Caliber. The wife's car that the daughter's driving, she's actually in 18 months. She's put more miles on it than we put in the whole time we owned it. And our current cars, I mean, I'm barely putting 10,000 a year on my cars.
Yeah, I'm the same way. My 2011 F-150 had 36, I think, on it, 36K when I traded it in after 4 years. And the 2015 I traded in after 3 years because it was such a fucking shit box. They rebuilt the front diff on that F-150 twice, replaced the brakes 4 times. I mean, it was just noise after grind after noise for 3 years. And it got to the point where the 3 local Ford dealers ghosted me. They're like, yeah, we'll order parts. Okay, we looked at your truck. We'll order parts. They'd never call me. So that's when I bought the Ram. But it had 32,000 on it in 3 years. And now, obviously, I didn't drive much during COVID. So my 19 Ram 1500 only has 27 on it. The most miles are from the first year and this last year. And then in the same time, I've put 19,000 miles on the Harley since fall of 2019.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's where my miles are going. I'm commuting on the bike just as much as possible, man. It's the only way to go. I show up at work and people look at me like, "You fucking rode today?" And I was like, "Roads are dry, aren't they?" "Yeah, but it's cold out." I'm like, "No, it's not. You haven't experienced cold yet. You should ride down the highway with a half helmet, smoking a cigar, drinking coffee." And they're like, "Isn't that what you just did?" I said, "Yeah, but it ain't bad. I got a beard and you're a lady." So I actually got shit. It was a couple months ago. There was a security guard at work and she was like, "Why aren't you on your bike today?" I was in my truck and I was like, "Oh, I didn't feel like it," or whatever, yada, yada. I rode the next day and I was like, "It's colder today." And I rode, she's like, "Touche, I will no longer bother you about it." I had to drive to work the other day, though. I was just so tired. I'd been up all night with a kid throwing up. And I was like, yeah, I'm not riding. Fuck that.
Yeah, I don't miss those days at all.
Yeah, 6-year-olds shouldn't be drinking so much. Now he poor kid, he got sent home. I don't know what happened at school, but he threw up, and then he threw up when he got to grandma's house. And then I went and picked him up after the rush hour, and we get home, and my wife went to bed. She wasn't feeling well, and he's like, "Dad, I don't feel so good." So I ran and got a bucket, and no sooner had I got back with the bucket, he comes flying over and hurled into it. And I'm a sympathetic puker, so I hear the noise that's like halfway there, and then I smell it, and I'm like
Smell.
ready to join him.
Yeah, the smell is what gets me every time. I can deal with blood, but yeah, the smell of vomit is one of those I just can't do.
It's horrendous, man.
But
But it's like 2:15 here. I got to get up in the morning.
yeah, I was thinking about it too. My butt's half numb right now.
Yeah, we actually have two more people. Who's watching? We have four people watching. If you're watching, say in the live chat that you're still here, because we went from two to four.
How many? It's only telling me two, but one might technically be me.
One is me.
So
I
who's
see
it?
four watching now. I guess it might just be us.
Might just be us shooting shit.
Hey, it's been a lot of fun. I enjoy this.
Yeah,
I
I
was
do.
gonna go. I was gonna go live last night, but then I saw veteran biker had Kraken Eric on, and I was like, "Yep, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna battle with that. I'll lose."
Yeah,
You know,
I was I was same way.
it's like when Professional Monkey goes on. Anybody in our crowd's gonna be on that live instead.
Well, it's kind of the same with with Stevie, military biker, like some of those guys. All anytime that they're live, it's I usually just on Steve's if I'm not physically participating, I'll usually then moderate his channel for him. But um,
Oh yeah, I'm not. I haven't been brought onto his stream yet to sully the good name, as it were.
yeah, Steve hasn't done one in a while. I've actually been kind of disappointed. I've been kind of waiting for Steve uh, to do one because a lot of the Canadian guys all jump on his. So
Steve, what's his channel name?
the military biker, he actually popped in for just a little bit earlier.
Oh yeah, we saw him. I didn't know his first name.
Yeah, Steve or Stevie.
Okay.
So, but yeah, he's a good guy. I've chatted with him quite a bit on and offline, and um, but yeah, like I said, anytime he's on, I definitely don't even think about streaming because a lot of people watch his streams. But
Yeah, I gotta have one soon. I've been slacking. I haven't had one in like a month, so I should do another one soon. I've
yeah, and
been trying to get I've been trying to get Dewey on one, but he's been busy.
yeah, I have to. You got my number now, so you just hit me up and let me know whenever you're playing one. I'll
I
try to.
will. Maybe I can do you a solid and get you a couple subscribers.
Hey, there you go. But yeah,
I know I'm not a big channel, but if I can help someone else out that puts out good content, I'm going to do it.
it's funny. There's a group of us that aren't big, but usually if our name pops in, everybody seems to know who we are, which is kind of cool. Um, so while we're not the biggest channels in the world, people at least know who we are, which is like I said,
Yeah,
it's always a cool thing.
that happened with me with Life of Birch. So I don't know if you've visited his channel. He's local to
I know
me.
of him. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he lives within an hour of me, I think. And I ran into him at a Harley dealer. Go figure, he's a Honda rider. But they were doing a stunt show, and he showed up, and I happened to have a camera in my hand. I was like, Birch! And he's like, and I was like, Road Reality. He goes, I do know you. And Nina was there, and it was funny. I got him to laugh. He actually fell away from the camera. He was laughing so hard. And I posted the video of that, and somebody saw my video and went into one of his live chats, but he didn't have the went into a live stream, but he didn't have the live chat available post live stream. So I couldn't see who it was, but somebody asked him, when are you going to collab with Road Reality again? That dude's hilarious. And I was like, that's hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
It's good to make people laugh.
Yeah, and and that's I do this whole YouTube thing both as for a fun standpoint and just to meet people. You know what I mean? That's the whole point of. I've gotten to meet some great. I've got to do some great rides. I've got to meet some great people. Um, things like VAM and things like that have just been a phenomenal way to to get out there and meet other riders. And
Well, I'm hoping to be at VAM this year.
it's definitely on my calendar. Um, unless something weird happens, I do plan on being at that event.
Yeah, I gotta nail down a hotel room.
Yeah, I got to do the same. We stayed at the same one. Um, Jody and
Tommy.
Tommy, yeah, and a bunch of them stayed at. We stayed at the same one. It was not the best hotel in the world, but we had a hot tub, like
Hey,
an actual
even better.
like an actual hot tub in the room. It was an older hotel, but it was all right. I mean, it was at least clean. You know what I mean?
Well, if you want to like get a double room or whatever, I don't know. Does your wife go with you?
Oh yeah, she'll be with me.
Oh, never mind. My wife's not going. She'll be staying home with the kids.
Yeah, that's the wonderful part about being where I'm at. Like I said, my kids are grown, so they're doing their own thing.
It was funny. I went on an overnight with 25 people I'd never met before years ago when I had the Vaquero, and I took one of my neighbors with me who rides he had a Road Glide Ultra at the time, and we went on this overnight, and it ended up being an entire show. It was hilarious, and my wife was like, "Wait, there's other women in these pictures you took," and most of them were a bridal party that joined our party in the hotel conference room late that Saturday night, and I mean it was bad, dude. I drank an entire bottle of Crown Black by myself, minus a couple of shots that the bridal party took.
Right.
And I mean, they brought coolers of beer that I didn't drink, and I almost got in a fight with someone. And oh yeah, the whole next day was just patting the gas tank, going, "I'll get us to 5. You know how to keep us upright after that, girl. You got this." And it was like 200 miles from home, so it was a long slog home. My God. But my wife saw this picture. She's like, "Wait, there's other wives and girlfriends there. You didn't say anything about that." And I was like, "I didn't know anything about that. I had never met these people in person prior to riding with them for 12 hours. She's like, "Oh, 12 hours? Yeah." So she went on the next ride with us where 2 guys wrecked. They slipped on a wooden bridge.
Ooh.
And it was bad. They weren't seriously injured, but one guy got taken to taken to the hospital and all. He had a torn rotator cuff. The other guy rode home. He had a Bergman 650 with a cracked fairing now, and he rode like 300 miles south to go home. But,
people make fun of those Bergmans, but those suckers are not too bad to ride. They're pretty comfortable.
Yeah, that's what he was telling us. But she went on that ride and one other with us, and it was great because the ride leader was like, "We understand that you're the slowest rider in the group, and that's fine. We're not against that. Let me know if you have any problems." And every stop, he'd come over and go, "Mrs. Road Reality, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm just fine. Thank you for asking." "Okay, good. We'll keep riding, And so yeah, she had a little fun with that, but it's like trying to find childcare for 5 days, straight. It's asking a lot of grandma.
Yeah, I totally get it. We didn't really go on vacations until the kids were older, just because of that. And once they got late teens, it's like, here's some cash, here's a cell phone.
Yeah, have fun. We'll be back in a week.
Don't burn the house down.
Yeah, dude. We take our kids to the beach once for 1 week every summer, and we bring grandma with us because we go around her birthday, and that's our big vacation for the year. That's it. Other than that, we don't like traveling with kids.
I'll be honest. I worked third shift for so many years I can't even count at this point. And normally, what I would do is I would stay on my third shift schedule. The wife and the kids would sleep. I'd drive for 12 to 18 hours, depending on where we were going. And, so that was the best way to travel, was to just drive at night. I could drive no traffic. I could drive the speed limit. And Yeah.
Dude, when we go to visit my in-laws, they're 5 hours away. We leave at 7 o'clock at night after dinner, and we get there at midnight. And the kids sleep, the wife sleeps. I sit there and dream about smoking a cigar or vaping or whatever and having a bourbon when I get there. So we get there, I unpack the truck, get everybody settled in their rooms, they go to sleep. And if it's the wintertime, I go in the father-in-law's porch and I fire up his wood-burning stove, and I'll sit out and have a bourbon and a stogie. And I'm like, we're here. But yeah, I like driving at night because there's, like you said, there's no traffic, man. I left at 8 o'clock on a Friday and got to Myrtle Beach at Saturday at 4 a.m. Had the girl I was dating riding shotgun, and I was just smoking cigars. I was driving my Honda Civic. I had a 08 Honda Civic EX because it was like $50 a month more than a Honda Fit. But I got a Civic EX with wheels and everything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, dude, I put an intake on that car.
That sounds
and
great.
I put an exhaust on it for one day, but it vibrated the entire shell of the car, and my ears are too sensitive to that because I have tinnitus real bad. So I put the stock stuff back on. But even with just the intake, that thing got 40 miles to the gallon on the highway. And like I was loaded down with 800 pounds of people and cargo one time, still got 38. Round trip to Philly and back. It was great. And I felt bad because my buddy said, I'll pay for gas if you take me to these 3 or 4 shops he wanted to visit on the way. And I felt bad because I could have made out if I'd have just charged him by the hour. Because it was all gas. But we drove that Civic to Myrtle Beach, man. And it was just cruising all night long. And at midnight, I closed the sunroof. I closed the windows. No more cigars. I've had 5 today. I'm good. And then like 12:15, I'm nodding off. And I opened the sunroof. Said, honey, cut me another stogie. Let's go. And I smoked cigars till 4 a.m. We rolled into the parking lot, and I rolled into the apartment or whatever, went to sleep, woke up like 6 hours later. All right, let's party. We were there a day and a half and then drove home.
I've done crazy. Yeah, I've done stuff like that before. I hate it.
Yep. All right, I gotta go. It's 2:30 now.
Yep, we're right at the almost 4 hour mark. So I don't think we need.
I don't think we need